everyone, and welcome to the Big Brother 24 Roundtable podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about everything from the feeds. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and what a week to talk about. Joining me to discuss it all from her backyard is Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm good. Yeah, this is just a new look. Unfortunately, Dennis has COVID. I don't have COVID, so I don't want to catch it. So I want to be as far away as possible. So I'm currently outside.
Yeah, she's living outside at the moment.
Yeah, just living out here. It's fine. This is like, I have my podcast stuff. What else do I need? No, but I was like, I have to talk about this week. It's been so good. So yeah, I could not miss the podcast. So I was like, I'm going outside. I'm going to do it.
Well, luckily, even a temporary setup here looks great, Melissa. It looks very nice there.
Thank you.
Also with us here this week to talk about what has been going down is Aysha. How you doing, Aysha?
Hey, Taran. Hey, Melissa. I'm so excited to be here. I did not think I would be saying that like a week ago. I was just like, I'm not looking forward to doing a roundtable this season. But how things have changed. Feeds are good when it's 4 a.m. You haven't gone to bed yet. You're watching feeds and you can text one of your best friends and your mom. And there's no question asked. Like, they respond right away about what's going on. And we don't have questions for each other because we just know we're enjoying the feeds in the middle of the night or middle of the morning. But yeah.
Yeah, it's been one of those weeks, the last few days in particular, that it's like, what does life exist outside of the feeds? I don't think so. What did it used to be like to exist outside and with people that weren't these 14 people? I don't know.
Yeah, Melissa, what's outside like?
Yeah,
Haven't seen
tell
us.
Yeah, it's actually really good for me to be out here to get to see something else. This has been like, and I just keep thinking, imagine if we didn't get this weekend on feeds. Like, imagine if they decided to not give us feeds until after the episode on Sunday. I mean, we would have missed everything. I feel like, what day was it? Was it Saturday, like late Saturday night? I don't remember. It was whatever day they formed it. That was like, that is what you hope for Big Brother. Like, you never get the outsiders realizing they're on the outside and then like banding together to form the majority alliance. I mean, we say it every year. We always say, if the outsiders could just recognize their position, they could be in a good spot because all they have to do is join together and then they're the majority. And every year, without fail, we're disappointed. That never happens. And it's a miracle to see that happen now and to see it happen with like a lot of the people that we've all been rooting for and that we were all worried about going into this week. It's been just magnificent. So good.
Yeah. It's a wild situation here. And, Big Brother Canada, it definitely has really done much better than the US in a lot of things. We often talk about what they're doing right. But I got to say, Big Brother US, it keeps the feeds on, and it just crushes Big Brother Canada in that regard. And yeah, the fact that if this had been Big Brother Canada, we definitely would have had the feeds down until Sunday. We definitely would have missed the majority of this weekend, and that is a travesty of high proportions. And so, Big Brother Canada, you're probably used to the praise here on the podcast, but this is one area that you definitely fail on because having these feeds up was very key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know we're so hard on the show a lot of times, but this they did right. I'm so thankful that the production decided that, you know what, we should return the feeds because it would have made the biggest difference. We would be so confused. We would still be putting the pieces together. And so, I'm so thankful. So I will say, thank you, Big Brother production, because we ate this weekend. I'm so full. I'm stuffed from all the leftovers.
Yeah. Stuff from all those Leftovers. I'm loving all the leftover references, but let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's explain what we're talking about. Now, if we talked about this on a recent recap that if you're just getting your live feed updates from the recaps at this point, like it's like you're using dial-up. Like it's an outdated method. At the very least, you should be consuming the roundtables to get your live feed information. But really, especially in weeks like this, you got to check out the updates. There's a lot happening here. We will do our best to give you a good summary of where we are and how we got here from last week when Turner won the HOH. We saw this on the episode. He nominated Michael and Brittany for eviction with the plan to backdoor Taylor. However, Kyle discovered that there was another alliance in the house. Alyssa told him that there was an alliance called the Old School Alliance that consisted of Alyssa, Amira, Terrence, Daniel, Nicole, and Jasmine. And Kyle was like, oh, interesting. And then he told Monty and Michael about it. And then they told Turner and Joseph about it. Michael didn't, but the other two did, Monty and Kyle. And they decided to create a new alliance called the Pound. And they changed the plan from targeting Taylor to targeting Amira to try to cut off the head of the snake and dismantle this other side before it had a chance to dominate them. And in order to do so, they pulled in some more numbers: Michael, Brittany, and eventually Taylor. So they came together. They created the Leftovers Alliance. And with the Leftovers Alliance, they blindsided Amira and the other side of the house at the veto ceremony when Michael and Brittany took themselves off the block, and they put Amira and Terrence on the block. And that led to the chaos of yesterday on the feeds, which included this.
Holy
amongst other things. And as of right now, that side of the house, which is, the Old School Alliance, the what's left of the girls, and that's pretty much what it consists of. They have been running around with their heads cut off, trying to assign blame, trying to figure out who did what, who leaked what, who betrayed who's backing who, and all of this nonsense. They're trying to discover what's been going on, and they haven't quite figured it out, as the leftovers have just been running circles around them. And as of right now, Amira does think that she has the votes to stay over Terrence, and the plan is to continue to let her believe that, and then again blindside the other side of the house when they vote Amira out. And that's the story. That's the summarized version of what we've got here, Aysha.
If y'all have not watched the updates these past 4 days, Taran is delivering a performance of a lifetime. Okay? I have never laughed so many times during a live feed update. And the fact that it's so spot on. I wish you were being dramatic, but you're not. If anything, these people are on another level, even more dramatic than what you are communicating to us. So, y'all, it's worth going back to watch if you haven't. So, thank you, Taran.
Thank you, Aysha. It's funny because I've been getting a lot of compliments for my Nicole impression. And I think how it happens sometimes is that I didn't think I was doing a Nicole impression. Oh, no. Sometimes it just happens. I don't intend to impression people, but it just comes out sometimes. And so I'm glad it was good.
Oh God. Yeah, well those are the best kind of impressions, you fully embody it. It just comes out. Yeah.
It's really it's I think what happens is that you just watch them enough, and then as I'm recounting what they're saying, it's I just naturally start speaking like them. It's I gotta be careful about it, but it usually works out to my benefit.
Yeah, I mean, and with Jasmine, you would have to have two versions. You have the Jasmine when she knows she's on TV, the blindside butterbeans, but
Oh
then you
God.
have the Jasmine that's in the house who's like, I'm not even gonna hold you. I gotta do, and then says something that's just like disgusting all the time. She's just an open book. I don't understand why I don't know. Anyway, these impressions, yeah, they have been spot on. Once you hear them, you just unconsciously take them on.
Yeah, especially when you're quoting them.
Yeah.
It's very easy to kind of. But yeah, I mean, this week, when I saw that Turner was HOH, I was just like, okay, like it's over, because my hope, I guess, was that like the girls were being honest with Taylor and that they were going to, keep her around thinking that she could target the men. So I was like, you know what, that's Taylor's best chance. Like, and not that that's the only thing that matters, but I did kind of think like, I didn't want it to just be, oh, Taylor's out next week. And that was my fear, was just like, oh, easy week, Taylor's out. And then when Turner won it, I was like, great, this is over. And then he goes in the HOH room and he's like, oh yeah, Taylor's leaving, like she's the target. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be like literally the most boring week. Turn off the feeds, like it's over. And then you get this magic, and it's so impressive. What Joseph and Kyle have done in this situation. I mean, obviously everyone plays a part, but it does feel like those two are the ringleaders. And I've just been super impressed with what I've seen. And I mean, this is what you want from Big Brother. This is like what, you hope for every time you see a season, is like some feeds, like some drama like this. Like, this is the fun kind of drama. This is the strategic drama. It's not just like bullying someone or like just being mean behind their back. Like that's the kind of stuff that I don't want to see. I like the, and the whole, like the fallout, like, yeah, sure, you could, I guess, argue that they're being mean to the other side by like playing them, but like that's the game and that's the fun part of it. That's not being mean. That's not just like attacking their character. And I don't think that side has really done any personal attacks since forming the Leftovers. It hasn't been like, oh, well, we need to get Amira out because she sucks. It's just been like, she's the head of the snake. She's in charge. Like, why should we let her stay in the game? I don't know. It's been good.
Yeah, that's what I've really enjoyed about this alliance so far. One, everyone is so excited to be in it. Like Michael last night, just, oh, I love my alliance. Like, that's wonderful. The fact that y'all didn't come together because you hated one person, or you didn't come together because, oh, we're all girls or we're all guys, we got to stick together because of whatever. They all came together because they realized each other's strengths. They realized the power structures that were forming in the house, and realized, okay, if we get together, we actually stand a chance. And so I've loved the energy behind, that just being dedicated to this alliance. For the longest, I mean, I know the season just started a couple weeks ago, but for the longest, I was just pro Taylor. Anybody, just every day in and day out, who do I like? Who's being nice to Taylor today? Who's trying to save Taylor today? And it changed every single day. But now with the Leftovers supporting her and, just trying to build her up, like, oh, Joseph, I'll wait till the ratings for how I feel about Joseph. But just how they've really just rallied behind her. I'm like, hey, Leftovers until finale. I'm all in. They have been putting on the performance of their lives, just like Taran. And like, even I believe they knew nothing about this. I was like, I mean, Brittany has made me very nervous in a lot of these situations. I'm like, Brittany, you are in this room too long. I don't trust you that much that you're not going to slip up. But literally every single person has done their part to sell that they knew nothing about this, and to sell the narrative that, Turner just decided to do this because he, doesn't talk game with Amira. So I've just been so impressed.
And I loved the part where, when they had formed and they were all finally in the room together, and they were like, this is not a situation where you're being added on at the last minute. Like, this is a situation where all of us are forming this right now in this room together. Like, we're naming the alliance together. We're in on this together. Like, we're all going to put our hands in, and this is like this is our alliance. And I felt like that was just so like inclusive, especially for people like Taylor or Michael or Brittany or people like that who were like always like the last person brought in, and they like let them know like that they're the last one to join. And obviously that can't be a good feeling. So the idea that like we're all in and we're all, you know, we're forming this at the same time. It's not one member is starting it and then the rest are kind of like put in one by one. I just feel like it just was such good vibes, good feeling when they were doing that and they were hugging and smiling and like, I just was smiling from ear to ear watching that. It just made me so happy, you know, to see, especially when, you know, you've got Kyle and Joseph saying to Taylor, like, you know, we see what's been happening. And now Turner saying the same thing. Like, we have seen what's been going on. We don't want to be a part of that. Like, and you're no longer going to have to feel that way. Like, we don't want you to be ostracized. We're here for you and we see you. And just like to have somebody acknowledge that and to like bring her in and just be like kind is just so huge. It's just so, it was great to watch. It was just amazing.
I mean, I really genuinely think that not since season 6, when the Sovereign Six fought the Friendship, has the fan base so unanimously been behind a single alliance fighting against the evil empire. Like, right? And it's, again, it's pretty funny that we're talking about the bros and the comp beasts
Queen.
and the Fashion Queen versus the women and the older people. But and to top it off, they're named the leftovers because they were left out. But
it's so crazy.
But that's the position, like that's the head start that the other side had for public perception, and they really just dropped the ball there. They dropped it, and then they threw it into the gutter, and then they unleashed the hounds on it. And then when Turner was like, "Hey, I think you shouldn't be doing that," they were like, "Doing what, Turner? Excuse me? Those hounds have been on that ball without us doing a thing. We did not touch any of the hounds. Did we throw the ball? No, that was Indy. She did that. And then now if a bunch of hounds are deciding to chew on the ball, like, you saying it's our fault? Because it's definitely not. Ball, have we been chewing on you? Didn't think so. So yeah, I mean, it brings me back, and it's a very nostalgic feeling to being a child watching Big Brother 6 and just being like, yeah, America, tell them you don't like him. Tell them you love Janelle instead. And we even have like the Janelle-y and the Taylor situation to begin with, right? Like, it's very reminiscent of that. And it's also got a little bit of that season 20 flavor with this other side really fouetting themselves. It's been quite the ride. It's fun, man. This year of Big Brother has been, because obviously there was no celebrity season this year, because this year of Big Brother has been so great. And it's been great to have the fan base excited for once.
Yeah, especially considering the start of this season. I feel like everyone was basically ready to just give up. I mean, for a little bit, even I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to be talking about this every week. Like, okay. But I'm just so excited about it now. It's like, even before this, obviously there's been like some good moments. I feel like last week when they decided to flip the votes on Pooch, that was exciting as well. So it was like, it was already building that excitement again. Whereas like at the beginning of the season, I was like, oh, forget it, pack it in. This is over. Like I'll watch because I have to, but like, I'm not interested. And then it's just been like, I can't even look away. I want to watch everything. I want more to be happening on the feeds. I can't get enough. So it's been really good. And it's just such a good turnaround. I mean, look, granted, we're still at the start of the season. We don't know what's going to happen, but at least for now, we are all enjoying ourselves, and let's hope it stays that way.
Just like Kyle and Turner talked about, I think today, or maybe it was yesterday, like even if it goes to hell from here, right? Like, we had this moment. Like, this is a moment that you don't get very often in Big Brother, and so just this moment alone, I think, gives the season something that is redeemable. And the thing about it too is that, you know, last week felt like it was an exciting week with some caveats, right? Like, it was an exciting week, but there was still some nastiness that was happening, and that kind of felt like more like season 21, right? Like, there were some redeemable elements to season 21. Things got exciting at points. The people that were not very nice were attacking each other at times, and it was like, oh, look at this! Look at this! There's some interesting gameplay. There's some interesting fights, but it never like redeemed itself in any real way, right? What's happening this season is that they are actually addressing the root cause of the toxicity and actively fighting against it. And so, like let's clear this nonsense out of here. This is not just like, oh, these are some redeemable elements of a season. This is like, no, let's clean this up. Let's do this right. And it has been nice to see.
Right, because it'd be one thing if it was just, okay, the Leftover Alliance has like formed. They decided Taylor would be like a good asset for them, and then they just like bring her in because she's strong or whatever. But like to actually discuss it and to, you know, have Turner give a speech. I mean, we haven't seen it yet, but to have Turner give his speech on, you know, like, hey, this treatment towards Taylor is not okay, whatever he says with that, like, and then to bring it up to her and just say, like, we're not going to stand by here for that. That's huge. I mean, just to even have somebody bring it up, like they could have absolutely just continued throughout the season, never bringing it up, like just being like, well, now we're going to treat her nice, or like, we're not going to do this anymore. So like, hope that's good for everyone. And it's nice that they're actually like saying like, we recognize that this is wrong. And especially like for me, it was very significant to see Turner talking by himself in the HOH room and saying like, he does it, like basically acknowledging that he had his own contributions to this problem, and saying that like if you had asked him at the beginning of the week who annoyed you, he would say that Brittany and Taylor were annoying to him. And he doesn't think that now. It's just that he feels like that was implanted in his brain by the other side. And that's so significant that he's like recognizing that like he doesn't feel that way. That was just like fed to him, and he just accepted it. And like, you know, and Kyle calling himself like a sheep the whole time and saying he's not a sheep anymore. Like, I just feel like that's just so important. And it also shows people like who are watching that you can stand up and say something, and you can, you know, be that difference. You know, you don't have to just be like, well, I don't want to get in trouble, I'm just going to like hang back. Like, you can and you should stand up if you see something happening. And, you know, it's nice to see that people will still do that, even in a situation when it can hurt their game to do so.
And the fact that we were, a second, maybe half a second from this not even happening, because if Amira had won HOH, none of this would have happened. Like, maybe Kyle would have had a thought of, okay, but he wouldn't have been bold enough to, okay, let's create an opposition to Amira, the HOH, who definitely would have been going after Taylor. And maybe it would have been delayed a week, but it wouldn't have happened on Joseph's birthday. So I just don't know the power that it would have had.
If Amira wins that HOH, then the entirety of the commentary this week would have been, wow, I can't believe how mean they're being to Taylor, and wow, I can't believe how dumb of a twist this is. Like, those were the two talking points of the week, because it would have been pretty simple. And it really did take a lot of very slim chance things happening here. This is like the reverse of season 22, where it was like at every conceivable turn, they just got unlucky, bad comp outcome. This was like they hit every single chance element, and despite production screwing up at every turn, you know, Alyssa tells Kyle about the situation with Old School. Turner wins the HOH. Joseph turns 25. Like, it's just everything needed to come together in just the right way. And I really hope they stick the landing here with the episodes, because I feel like Wednesday and Thursday could be 2 all-time episodes of the show if they edit it right. I do have more faith in the US than I would in Canada to like nail the episodes. Granted, season 10 was very good. You did a good job, Canada, but historically you've not been great. That said, I am concerned that that they have not been great so far this season here in the US. They have not been really diving into the Taylor thing, and this is not nearly as impactful if you don't understand what's happening with Taylor, especially if you are concerned with doing more with Taylor in these very episodes. So it's concerning to me, because I really feel like it's important to just bury the other side and bring up these leftovers, because this is an important moment in the show's history where like, we are showing that this ostracizing strategy that is so prevalent in the modern game can be overcome in a way that will make you a fan favorite and is successful strategically. So that when people watch this season before playing future seasons, they can see an example of this happening, and they can be more likely to do something like this, because people do what they see all the time. It's why we complain about them always having 16 as their favorite. So the problem is that most of them will not have seen the feeds. So the show really needs to portray this in a way that sticks to the landing. I really, really hope they do, because I do feel like it can be so important. But honestly, either way, I'm personally, at least I got what I needed here in the feeds.
Yeah, I was just talking to a friend about this today, that they haven't shown just all of the little things and big things about what that side has been saying about Taylor, how they've ostracized her. But the reason that we are so excited about the leftovers is because of how they came together, how they have like realized the way things have been and want to change it, right? And so I feel like I am being optimistic. I do feel like they will want a sense of that feeling from just the casual audience. And if they can do it in a way that it's back to back to back, that also could be very powerful. Because if you see, like, if we people put together clips on Twitter of these are all the times that someone said something, right? And it's just back to back. It's just like, whoa, that is a lot. Of course, it's a lot to us. We've been watching over the past few weeks. But I think if they can put in an episode where it just hits, and then we see the formation of this alliance, it still can be very powerful. It's just that, will they do that?
Yeah, and I mentioned season 6. And I mentioned this moment when America voted for Janelle to get the phone call or whatever it was. And like that moment when the friendship is just losing their minds because Janelle got the fan vote. It's such a classic moment. It's a moment that everybody remembers over a decade later, like 15 years or more later at this point. And it sticks in people's minds because of how good it is to see, how great television it is. And we got that on the feeds yesterday when Turner calls them out for bullying, and they are in complete denial about their role in the situation. Like, there is so much that can be mined from that if they are willing to do it. Obviously, 15 plus years ago they were. I don't know if they are anymore, but I really hope so, because it is. We've really got something special on our hands here.
Yeah, I mean, and this is why we watch the show. Like, especially us that keep up with the live feeds, or we're dedicated to watching the live feeds. this is what we always want to happen. We want the people that don't realize what's happening in the house to realize it while they're in the house. It's not enough to go out on stage and Julie explains these people were in alliance. No, I want to see that when the people that were the leftovers, when they have gathered together, and we are seeing Amira on Thursday saying, hey, Julie is pointing out the alliance and she's like, whoa, like I never would have put them together. That is going to be so satisfying. So I hope that happens.
Kyle did say today, I think, man, Amira's gonna be so mad when I say in my goodbye message that Alyssa told me about old school. Like, oh yes.
I love that they're loving it.
Yeah, and so which means they better set up old school and they'd better set up the whole thing so that we can get that moment.
I feel like
they've got a lot to do.
Yeah. I don't know how they're gonna get it done, but I don't understand the Kyle Alyssa thing. I feel like he should be using her more. Like I feel like not like totally leading her on, but just not like rejecting her and like blowing up her game in the way that he is. I feel like she's very useful to him. Even if he's not interested in a showmance, like she's very useful to him in terms of like getting this information. And if he, either rejects her and says like not interested, or he like blows up her game in some way, like I just feel like he won't be able to use her anymore and get that information. Like, I don't think he should just like fake it and be in a showmance with her, and when he's really just, messing with her emotions. But I do think that like just continuing to flirt with her, and getting this information from that side and making her think that, they're working together isn't harmful. And he should be doing that. I just don't really understand what's going on.
So here's what it is. Kyle is a golden retriever. Like, he does not want to hurt her. He thinks that if he does play into it to continue to get that information, he is playing her. And I think he does like her. Like, that's not an issue, right? He is attracted to her. He enjoys her company, but he does understand he's in there for the game and he's focused on the game. And so it's like, he's torn because he doesn't want to hurt her by using her, because after this he would want there to be a chance with them, and she's gonna look back.
I feel like he doesn't like her.
No,
I think he definitely likes her. I think that he liked her more before she freaked out about his interaction with Taylor, but I think he's still like definitely willing to explore it after the season, probably hoping that under different circumstances she's a little bit more chill. But I would be surprised if they did not make an attempt at something either in the jury house or postseason.
He can't ride that line of, okay, we're not going to do a showmance, but let's continue to work together, flirt with each other, because she's already at the point of, I need to kiss him tonight. Like, she's playing way too strong. Like, that's her focus. She's not willing to settle for, we can align and, it'll cut off there. No, Alyssa wants him so bad and is not willing to settle for, it's either that or nothing for her. So, I can understand why he, is doing what he's doing. I mean, he's doing enough to keep her like still interested and she's still kind of possessive. But then, I don't know. It's just hot and cold.
Yeah. And I actually, I do think he did a pretty good job last night of expressing to Alyssa, like, this is going to happen after the season. And like, obviously, I think she still feels like, all right, we'll see. But like, he has made it pretty clear, I think, at this point, like, after the season, I don't want this to ruin either of our games. And she was able to, she had a conversation with Indy today where she relayed that message. She said, Kyle talked to me. He said nothing during the season. We have to wait until after. And she was like, and then it was still like, we were still chill. We were still like the same. So, she didn't see it as that big of a deal, but she definitely got the message. And I think that, there's only so much that he can do, considering that he isn't like, that's genuine, like that is what he wants. And so it's like, how much more can he say without just full on ruining his own game by telling her, okay, so the thing is that I am actually using the information you give. Like, he can't really go that far. So I feel like he's doing about as well as he can here.
Yeah, it's kind of like if they were out of this house and he just got out of a relationship, right? He's not ready, but he still wants to be her friend. But she's interested. She's ready for the relationship. She wants to go all in. But he's like friend zoning her because he's like, I still want to be your friend. I still want the benefit of, us hanging out and getting to know each other, but I can't be in a relationship yet. And she's like, no, relationship or you hate me. So it's just like,
yeah, and it's like, she has two final twos with Amira and Jasmine, not one with Kyle. Like, I'm sure I'm sure that if she were to be hurt by something that, like, by realizing that Kyle, like, exposed information or whatever, she would probably say, like, I was willing to dump them for you. But like, he doesn't know that. Like, why you haven't told him? You haven't told him about your final twos. Like, she hasn't told him everything. Like, I think you have to understand you're playing a game, and like I said, I do think that it's, despite the fact that it's a tricky situation, I think he's doing a pretty decent job of trying to manage it as much as possible. So we've got that going on, and Kyle did say he's got this information in his back pocket. He might try and use it with Daniel, and drop the name of the Old School Alliance at some point. Michael suggested hold off on that, and so it seems like he's got that waiting in the wings, and I think there are a couple of reasons to compare Kyle to Tyler in some ways, and I think that one of the things that Tyler did a lot was he'd have all kinds of like wacky plans that he'd come up with and never actually go through with. And so it kind of reminded me a little bit of that. But as we've got that going on, the big issue of the week right now, of course, is the eviction vote. And whether it's going to be a split vote or a unanimous vote, or like how they're going to play this off. As of right now, Amira thinks she has the votes because she thinks she has Joseph and Kyle and Monty, and she thinks she has the women. And Terrence feels like he might be able to get the votes because he thinks he might be able to get Kyle and Joseph and Taylor and Indy and then maybe Nicole and Daniel. But the thing is that Nicole and Daniel, they're kind of going back and forth. They do not realize the peril that they are in, and they are very openly telling both Amira and Terrence, it's a really tough one for us here. Yeah, we're just, I want you to stay, but I also want him to stay. And so I just don't know. And that combined with the leftovers really just like spilling all kinds of fog into the house to obfuscate what's happening, it's causing a lot of distrust for Daniel and Nicole. And it's interesting because I think the plan is going to try to be, how can we get people to target them and blame them for this vote? However it goes down, either they're spearheading the vote to evict Amira and they get the blame because they really were evicting Amira, or they actually choose to keep Amira and they just blame them for it when Amira leaves. That's kind of like the intrigue left in the week so far.
And what are they thinking? Like, one of them is staying. And I know, if Terrence stays, the likelihood of him winning HOH is like, it's not happening. But like, are you not thinking about the fact that people are going to, hey, you actually were thinking of not voting to keep me. So now I have a reason to consider putting you on the block. Like, even if Amira was the one to stay, they should definitely be afraid of that, since in their mind, they think they're the swing votes. But, at this point, that side of the house is blamed. Jasmine, because she's Turner's bestie. Indy, Daniel, they don't trust Nicole. They don't want to know that there's actually a girls thing. They don't trust Brittany's the only one of like the leftovers that's really like, I don't know, Should we talk around her? Should we not? And so, yeah, they're blaming everyone. So there's not, I mean, there's going to be a reason that any of them will want to target any of them outside of the people in the leftovers, because they're just all over the place right now. And I don't know. I just think that I definitely thought that Nicole was a better player than what she's showing. I thought Amira was a better player than what she's showing. And so I don't know. A lot of times we say like good players, we really see who they are after some pressure is applied.
Mm-hmm.
And so is this really showing us like, wow, yeah, no, they don't have it together.
Yeah. Well, I do have some survey results. Of course, this is I send out the Stockwatch survey every week, and I have everyone rate the players. But I also have some other questions, and I think we've got some interesting ones to go over here this week. First of which is I have the audience rank the players from their favorite to their least favorite. And do you have any predictions, Melissa, on who is the top pick?
I feel like either Joseph or Taylor.
Yeah, I think it's our favorite 25-year-old Joseph.
You are both incorrect. Michael has held the crown.
Wow.
He has been the favorite from the start, and he has not let go. Mm-hmm. Do we have a second place guess?
I think probably
Joseph.
Taylor. I'll go with Taylor because that way we're different.
Melissa, yes, you are correct. Taylor is in second place. The top two has been locked in from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. Michael and Taylor. Now, I can tell you that in week 1, third place was Brittany. In week 2, third place was Amira. Week 3, do we have a guess? Who is in third place?
Joseph.
Oh, yeah. I'm in between Joseph and Kyle. I'll say Joseph.
Should have gone Kyle. It was Kyle.
Oh, wow.
In third place.
Now Joseph.
Joseph is in fourth place, yes. All right. Who is at the bottom of the list? I can tell you that in week 1, Turner was in dead last. In week 2, Turner was in dead last. This week, who do we think is in last place?
Jasmine. No, Nicole.
Nicole. That's what I was about to say. Okay, you're saying Nicole. I'm in between. Well, we got Jasmine, Nicole, Daniel. I mean, could keep going, but
maybe Daniel. Yeah. Oh God,
it's not Turner.
I think it's Daniel.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Nicole.
Melissa is crushing you, Aysha. It is Daniel. It is Daniel. You guys nailed
I planted that.
You did. You gave her you rock starred it.
You really did though. Yeah, you were like, oh, it could be Daniel. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, don't forget about Daniel.
I'm switching.
You nailed the bottom 3 though. Jasmine, Nicole, and then Daniel down at the bottom. So
where's Turner?
The order here is Michael, Taylor, Kyle, Joseph, Brittany, Turner, Monty, Alyssa, Indy, Amira, Terrence, Jasmine, Nicole, and Daniel. So Turner went from dead last in both of the first 2 weeks to 6th place this week.
The leftovers are top 7.
Yeah. Amira went from 3rd place to I think this is going to be what, like 10th or 9th place, 9th or 10th place here. Yeah, we've got some big ups and downs here in the favorite list overall. Let's see. I think Monty also Monty with a moderate move up the board as well. But basically, yeah, the top 7 is straight leftovers. With Monty at the bottom of the leftovers and Michael at the top. All right.
When is the last time that's happened? Like an entire alliance, the top places.
Yeah. It's universal praise here for the leftovers. All right. I asked the audience to rate the episodes this week. The first week they were a 4.6, second week a 4.3, this week a 5.2. So a decent amount higher than the first 2 weeks. I will personally say I would honestly have this as the lowest rated week for episodes. I think there's and you might have been surprised, like, wait a minute, it's such a low rating for such a great week. Well, the episodes for this week have not aired properly yet. I think this has actually been the worst week for episodes because that Sunday second half was, in my opinion, the worst episode of the season so far. So episodes have not been great, but hopefully by the time we do this question next week, we've got 2 really, really great episodes in the bank. And even if Sunday disappoints us, we'll at least have 2 really great ones and it'll be a higher rating.
Yeah, sometimes it feels unnecessary to watch like the Sunday and Wednesday episodes because we know what's going to happen, but we're like, oh, let's see what else, they're going to show. I have never felt so just unfulfilled watching an episode. I was like, Pooch, why we're still talking about that? Like, so much has happened. We're so far like we're weeks ahead, it feels like at this point. So yeah, I would give the episodes a 1 so far this week.
Yeah. I was like trying to talk to my mom about the show, and it was before she had seen the Sunday episode, so she's like, well, we have no idea who's going home, Pooch or Taylor. I was like, okay, yeah, it's going to be really hard for me to catch you up right now. I like literally had to talk to her for like an hour being like, okay, Mom, this is crazy. This is what's going on this week. And she's like, but who went home? Did Pooch went home? I was like, okay, yeah, it wasn't shocking to any of us, but yes.
Yeah, all literally, right. It's like you have your live feed friends and then you have your show friends. And I haven't been able to talk to my show friends. Like we're 2 different shows at this point.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but just open your mind, Yeah. You're just living in the dark.
Right.
Step out of the cave.
You know the truth.
You sheeple. I also have the audience rate the feeds this week. In the first week, the audience rated the feeds a 4.9. In the second week, they rated the feeds a 5.6. And this week, I don't have the stats to check this, but what might be the biggest gap between episodes and feeds, and may also be the highest rated I've ever seen the feeds, a 9.0 for the feeds this week.
Rightfully so.
Pretty
like
good.
Ask me what else I've watched in the past 4 days. Like, my TV
not just what else I've watched. What else have I done?
Mhm.
It's a very easy question to answer. Barely slept is the only thing.
Yeah, I feel like that would be my one complaint is that everything that happens like in the middle of the night. Like, I mean, I guess it's good because then, at least for me, like, for Taran, it's a different story. But for me, I wake up and I'm like, okay, what happened last night? And then I get a bunch of fun stuff when usually it's like I wake up and they've just been asleep and then they're like drinking coffee. Now at least I get a fun, exciting like catch up session in the morning. But I'm sure you probably are up all night watching that. Not as good.
Yes. So obviously huge rating here for the feeds. That we will see how much we can continue this energy moving forward. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Theoretically, we might also have great feeds Thursday night into Friday with a blindside coming up and an HOH competition and more chaos potentially on the way. So I doubt we'll be able to capture the highs of this because we'll never get back the moment of like really pulling Taylor into the fray and out of that nonsense quite as much. But definitely some great feeds this week and hitting some highs in terms of the viewership for the updates as well. There were like over 6,000 people watching this morning. This is definitely, in the time that I've been doing live feed updates, definitely been one of the more exciting weeks of feeds. Obviously, Big Brother Canada 10 was also fantastic all the way through. Again, though, Canada kind of neuters its feeds a little bit. And even though it was great content, it was not the best presentation at all times. All right. I also asked the audience to rate the season as a whole so far. In week 1, it was a 3.5. In week 2, it was a 4.5. And here in week 3, a 6.4.
Big
jump. 2-point jump. People are still being a little skeptical, right? A little bit like, all right, hold on. Definitely good stuff this week. 9 feeds, but those first 2 weeks were still, and we'll see where the rest of the season takes us. But it is past the barrier of below average to above average. And I think that's about right so far.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, because, we don't want to, it's too soon. And I know a lot of us I know we mentioned it earlier that, we're at that point where even Amon, we tweeted like, there comes a point when you think you just have lost love for the show, is it time? And then you get a weekend like this and it's just like, oh no, this is why I love the show. And this is absolutely what we needed, because I feel like I was feeling at my lowest in terms of like my interest in the show, because it was just like, is this what it's become? Like, I know we had an amazing season last season, but like this is a pattern we're seeing, and is this going to continue to happen, especially when there are people that, not as many fans in the game? Like, is this just something that humans do when they get into a house like this? So I know it's still early, and even if things go awry, in a week or two, at least we have Joseph's birthday. And like Keisha's birthday, we're still talking about it 13 years later. So Joseph's birthday, I will always remember when that man turned 25.
I also asked the audience to rate the bestie twist. And the audience gave the bestie twist a 2.9. Which I thought was way too generous for the best. It was really it got a pass here because of the excitement of the week. The backstage twist was given a 1.9 last week. The bestie twist should be a flat 1. It should be the lowest conceivable rating. I genuinely think it is at least a top 3 worst twist of all time that they have come up with. And I think the backstage twist is also up there in that conversation. I really feel like that person who needs to justify their job by creating twists has really outdone themselves this year, coming up with 2 of the worst ideas they have ever come up with in over 20 years of making this show. They have been terrible. And the fact that we lucked out and got some great content anyway is, just true praise to the Big Brother gods, because it's such a bad twist. I'm so glad that I don't have to keep talking about why it's so bad, because we don't have to bother talking about it. We might end up talking about why it's so bad next week or future weeks if it persists and it ruins things. But for now, luckily, it's not impacting things enough to prevent the greatness from happening. And it's we're in an okay place. But man, was it terrible?
Agreed. I think we're all on the same page with that one.
Yeah. And what has been so exciting is, not how they've worked the bestie twist. That's a sidebar that they're just having to work around. These were people realizing the dynamics of the house, realizing what they needed to do. And like, okay, we have the festy bestie thing to work around. Okay, let's work that into the plan that we've discussed. So, yeah.
I asked the audience, did Turner, do you think that Turner did what was best for his game as the HOH? In week 1, 95% of the audience thought Daniel did the wrong thing as HOH. Last week, we had 64% of the audience said, yes, Jasmine did the right thing. This week, 98.5% said yes, Turner did the right thing for his game this week. Very, very universal agreement. Yeah, you did good. You did good, Turner.
So proud of him. I did not
Good
think
job.
I would be feeling this way about Turner or Kyle or Monty. But yes, Turner, I'm so proud of him for doing something with his HOH. A concept.
I also asked the audience, who do you want to be evicted this week? And 90% say Amira, which is, last week it was 94%, almost 95% said Pooch, with 5% saying Taylor. There was even more unanimous agreement. I do think that there is, I do feel like I've seen a little bit like I could lose Terrence. At least Amira's playing the game.
Feel that way. I feel like I like the drama of her going, but my concern is that if she goes, I don't know if I see that side, I don't know. I feel like she is kind of the head of the snake in terms of like strategy. And I don't love the idea of a steamroll by any side. So, my hope is that if she does go, it doesn't just like kill momentum and just make it like, okay, the leftovers just like get them out one by one. I don't love that idea. And I don't know if I see it in Alyssa or Jasmine or anyone or Terrence or whatever to be like, oh no, we've been had or something. I don't know. I just feel like it. I mean, Terrence wouldn't, I guess, because he would be staying. But either way, I don't know if I see it in them to kind of like rally together to like actually accomplish something. I feel like it could be a Faute situation, and I don't love that.
Yeah, I think in a vacuum, people would like to see, a player like Terrence leave over a player like Amira. But in this specific situation, the only way that Amira stays is if the leftovers fail, right? Which is not really what people are hoping for.
Yeah, I absolutely want to steamroll. And I never do. But this situation, there's been enough negativity these first 2 weeks that I'm like, yes, leftovers, get every one of them out of here, please. I would love to see that just back to back. I would be watching every single day on the feeds.
All right. Final question. Who do you want to win HOH next week? And this one is a pretty easy answer because it's the same as last week. Taylor as the far and away top choice. Although this week, second place, Joseph with about 10% of the vote, followed by Michael. Last week, Michael had second place with 10%. So people just really want to see that Taylor HOH. They want to see it happen. Even though, by the way, a Taylor HOH would likely mean, maybe this is why, but Taylor HOH would mean that Nicole is safe. And maybe the question I should have asked is, who do you want to see leave next week? I'm guessing by the favorite poll that people would prefer to see Daniel go over Nicole, but they were both pretty neck and neck for that bottom spot. So we'll see.
Just imagine Taylor's HOH. Nicole is safe. Nicole can't control Taylor's HOH because Taylor's at this point, she has already said she will never forget how Daniel talked to her. And with her having in her mind, she wants Daniel out. Nicole just, she's my bestie. I can't do anything about it. Oh, why wouldn't she listen to me? I'm her bestie. Why wouldn't she listen to me? If I were HOH, I would listen to her. I can already see her spiraling and that would be entertaining in itself. And I also would I would want Nicole out first because she's more connected, but her seeing Daniel leave is going to be entertaining.
Imagine a situation though where someone from that side, so like imagine they do the split vote situation, so nobody understands like what went wrong here and everyone kind of plays that up, and then someone from that side of the house puts or even like Monty or someone is like, look guys, like we know what the plan is this week. I don't know what happened last week. I don't know who flipped. I don't know what went down, but the plan is and always has been get rid of Taylor next. So let's put Taylor and Nicole on the block, easy week. Let's get rid of Taylor. And then at the end of the week, they just get rid of Nicole because they have the numbers, and they're just like, "What is going on?"
That is genuinely the plan for Monty. Like if Monty wins the HOH, he very much would want to do that to keep up the facade and then blindside Nicole.
That's so good.
This is not something that they've talked about as a plan, but I'd love it if Taylor was the HOH and she acted like she was going to put Joseph and Monty up all the way until Daniel and Kyle go up.
Oh my God.
That would be very fun as well. But we'll see. We'll see if they again, hopefully they continue just having fun with this and continuing to like blindside and leave in the dark. Because that is the kind of, quote unquote steamroll that maintains its fun as we go, to just like continue to see chaos and confusion and stuff like that. So we will see. Are we ready for the stock watch?
Yes, I feel like it's going to be very different this week.
We got some changes to make.
Yeah, a few changes, just a couple.
All right. Well, here we go. Here is the board that we're looking at. All right. So we've got this is the portion of the podcast, of course, where we rate all of the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they're doing in the game. For me, I often look at their short-term safety, their long-term prospects to win, and the decisions they made this week. How good were they? How bad were they? And I try to combine those elements into one numeric rating, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And that's how we are going to do it. I also, of course, ask the audience to give their thoughts and rate the players as well. So you have all done that in record numbers as well. We got the highest amount of responders so far this season. So thank you all for taking the time. And let's begin. Let's start with Alyssa, who she got a 6 last week. I believe this was. I wonder. Was this before she outed the Old School Alliance? I'm not sure. It probably was. But either way, she was still looking like she was in a decent spot last week. But the outing of the Old School Alliance, the information that then was leaked, and really the fact that Kyle decided to use that alliance against her and against all of this, the setup that she has, her structure in the house is crumbling. And she was really well set up. I mean, between Kyle, Amira, Jasmine, the Pose Pack, Old School, Girls. I mean, she was in a spot that was largely built by Paloma, but still was very much of sort of her own making and was very, very good. And she just gave it all away for this guy.
I'm a bad boy.
And
he is a bad boy.
It's not leaving her in a good spot. Now, she's not leaving this week. She's probably not the target next week, despite the fact that she really kind of should be. If one of the leftovers wins next week, they really shouldn't play around with putting up a pawn. Meaning don't put up Daniel, don't put up Nicole, because then either Kyle or Taylor will have to go up on the block. They really should just put up Alyssa and Indy to be safe, to make sure that the alliance stays comfortable. Asking somebody to go up on the block as a pawn right after making the alliance is kind of a tough ask, and probably not something worth doing. Although that's kind of safe gameplay talking, right? And there may be a little more daring than that. But it's looking like, for the most part, nobody's really looking for Alyssa to go home. Even Taylor is kind of like, I've got bigger fish to fry. The person who is like most talking about taking out Alyssa is Kyle. And I fully believe that he is bluffing when he says that. He's really just trying to sell the fact that he's willing to let Alyssa go, and also trying to avoid being on the block himself, because another big option is Daniel. And so I don't actually think she's in a lot of danger next week. However, it's worth considering the fact that if they do take a shot at Kyle and Daniel, or at Taylor and Nicole, and then a veto is won, and maybe Kyle or Taylor have already won HOH, or maybe a veto is won by one of them, we could see a situation where Alyssa and Indy are the backup option. And I do believe that Alyssa would go home over Indy here because nobody really sees Indy as a threat at this time. So Alyssa's position in the game has definitely shot down. Her game has not been good. She's also, I think, just lost respect, not only from the side that's like getting the information fed to them, but also by her own alliance, who is, because of a slip up in front of Indy, they're very frustrated with her and annoyed, and they think that she just has loose lips, and they have no idea how bad it really is. So all of that said, I am going to go real low here on Alyssa because she was really the primary cause of all of this happening. I'm going to give her a 2 here in the stock watch. She not only destroyed her own game, but she destroyed the games of her entire alliance and structure. And she's in danger moving forward, and her long-term prospects have faltered. It's been a bad week for Alyssa. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. All of what you said, I mean, she trusted the wrong person, honestly, like with Kyle, because he just ratted out all that information. And, you know, she also just didn't play it right. I mean, she gave him a ton of information without getting really much of anything in return from him. So it really wasn't kind of a reciprocal situation. And not only that, she, you know, messed up with her own alliance this week when she revealed the Indy that Indy might be a target thing in front of Nicole. And then Nicole was like, why did you say that? And everyone was mad at her, and they were like, she can't be trusted. Just really not good all around. I think like we do have to give her some points for the fact that she's really not the next target, and probably not the next target, and maybe not even the next target. So no one's really talking about we have to get Alyssa out. It's possible that she's just like a casualty and they decide to get her out even though she's not the number 1 target. But at this point, like, I think she's safer than the others. So I'm going to give her a 3.
All right, Aysha, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also in agreement with the 3, only because I don't see her going home in the immediate future. I do think she could very likely make jury, but she thinks she's on Love Island, and that actually could work in her favor because it's like, do I want to get the girl out who's so focused on Kyle that she's forgetting about the game, or should I go after a bigger target? So even if, you know, while the bestie twist is happening, if Indy and Alyssa end up on the block, I could see a situation where it's like, why do we have them on the block? We could go after someone bigger, even if, you know, the leftovers decide it's time to go ahead and get rid of Alyssa. I could see them, you know, having the urge to go after someone bigger. So she's not focused. She says she's a super fan, but she has just let that go out the door because she stared into Kyle's eyes, and that's her only focus right now. So she's not doing anything. However, I have my 2 reserved for someone else.
Oh boy. Well, the audience, a little more generous still. The audience gave Alyssa a 4. Barely a 4. But she did land the 4 from the audience. So there we go. That is Alyssa going down from a 6 last week to a 3. And I wonder if I can quickly look at what that means for the I'm interested in the stock price changes this week because they're going to be pretty dramatic, I think. Minus 46%.
Whoa.
Oof, you lost about half your investment if you went in on Alyssa. Oh boy. All right, let's talk about Ameerah. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Ameerah?
Not good. She is probably leaving this week. And I mean, I don't really necessarily think it's anything that she did to leave. Sorry, there's a helicopter above me. I don't think it's necessarily anything that she is doing personally to leave. She is, you know, just she's out there out front being the leader of this group, and that's not a good place to be. Not only that, she's like coming very close in the competitions. And normally that would be a good thing, but in this situation, they've recognized that and they want to get that out. So, yeah, I think not in a great spot. It does seem that she's absolutely leaving this week. I mean, I don't really see a situation where that changes. Maybe she can convince them, but I don't really see that happening. So at this point, I think I think I have to give her a 2 because she's leaving. I don't that seems so low for her because she's really not bad, but I just don't really see a situation where she stays.
All right. Aysha, what do you think?
Well, I think she is bad because this has been very telling after she goes up, and after the veto, and she's trying to pinpoint, how this happened. And I thought she was on the right track of that being her focus. But the fact that she's just kind of like continuing with just the speculation of who I can or cannot trust, right? And then decides, oh, well, I have post-PAX vote. So we're good on that. I have your vote, right? To them, directly. Okay, we're good. Rather than actually campaigning to say, let me talk to these people one-on-one. This group stuff is not the way to get things done. You're in situations where Monty and Michael, when they're talking in a group, can avoid saying yes to you because you're in a group setting. No, talk to Monty directly and talk about how you can benefit his game. It's just like, you're just assuming this alliance that has not been on the same, hasn't discussed strategy, hasn't talked about anything this past week, and just are treating it as if that I'm absolutely safe. She's overconfident. I thought she was way better than this. And it's just so annoying that it's just like every 2 seconds I get on Twitter and have the live feeds on. She's saying something that's getting on my nerves. So the fact that she brings up, now I see why the minorities aligned last season. Girl, you are the same person who said, oh, thanks a lot, Cookout. You set us up this season. What is wrong with you? How it was either you or Taylor. What is can you see? Are you looking at what the situation would be? That's not your concern. Because if your concern was that, you would not have wanted Taylor on the block. But no, now it doesn't benefit you. So now it's, oh, wow, we should have aligned like the Cookout. We should have done that. Wow, it's so great to just be a strong Black woman. Taylor, now let's talk. Now that I'm in danger, now let's talk about that. It's so annoying. And I'm so disappointed because I just thought I was really rooting for Amira beginning of the season. And now here we are. So and the fact that, she's going home. So I am giving her a 1.
A 1 from Aysha. Oh boy. Well, the audience gave Amira a 3. 3 from the audience. Aysha, how do you feel about that?
It's not deserving.
I feel like Jeff Probst right now. Aysha, you gave a reaction to the audience giving Amira a 3. What was that reaction about?
Right. Gives a metaphor. It's like y'all are thinking too highly of her. It's like I don't even know. No, she doesn't deserve a 3.
Yes. Well, I feel like I am. I'm with you, Aysha, in argument, at least in terms of Amira doing poorly. I mean, she said today, just a couple hours ago, she was like, "Hey, I think I have Monty. He came up to me and said I was good. I didn't even ask him. I haven't really asked anybody, but I think I'm good." And it's just like, you. The strongest part of your game is how active you are. It saved you from being nominated week 1, and now all of a sudden, now that you're in danger, you're just gonna chill. No, stop. Go talk to people more. And yeah, she can't figure out what's happening, who she can trust, any of that. That said. I do think it's worth noting, at the very least, that I do think she got a little twist screwed here. I think that if not for the bestie twist, we would probably have like Nicole leaving this week or Daniel leaving this week. The only reason Amira is in trouble here is because she is in a position where she is one of the only people that they can put on the block that they can and keep one of their votes. You can say, hey, she's a little bit responsible here because she took Terrence, but she was choosing between Terrence or Jasmine. So the way that the twist set her up, like Terrence was the better shot here. She did kind of get screwed by that, and also kind of got screwed by like Alyssa dropping the old school lines. She also wouldn't be in danger if not for Alyssa screwing up. Like, it was more other people's screw ups than her screw ups. She still had her own. The way that she was like on top of Joseph so much really helped him sort of realize what was happening and sell the story of needing to go after Amira. As I said, I completely agree with Aysha here that she definitely has a lot of flaws here as a player, both in terms of like how she's been doing and also the decisions that she's made this week. But like I said, I do think it's worth pointing out this probably wasn't supposed to be her time, that it probably should have fallen onto somebody else here. But them's the breaks here on Big Brother, and she is almost definitely going home. So I'm also going to give her a 2 here this week. So that's going to be a 2 overall for Amira, who is going to make you lose 57% of your investment if you bought any Amira. And I've seen some people who decided to go in on Amira, and oof. All right. Let's talk about Brittany. Aysha, where do you stand on Brittany?
So Brittany, she still makes me nervous every time she's in a room. I mean, she has her poker face, but then I'm just still like, all right, Brittany, your time is up in that room. Go ahead and leave before you say the wrong thing. And she hasn't yet, but it's just like we just know Brittany. She talks a lot, right? We saw what happens when she thought that she wasn't safe the first couple of weeks. But now that she has, some trust in some people, I think she's calmed down. She has a foundation. She's able to see how she can be utilized within her alliance by getting this information because she's still considered part of the girls. So I feel good about Brittany. Not anything like, oh, Brittany has this in the bag. She gets to the end with the leftovers. She's taking it home. But I do feel better about her than I have the past few weeks. So I definitely think she's better than the 3 that she got last week. And the fact that she has, the support of the leftovers, that does just automatically bump her up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and give Brittany a 5.
5 from Aysha. I can tell you the audience agrees. The audience also gave Brittany a 5. And I think it's interesting. I definitely think Brittany her long-term position has improved. She's now part of a majority alliance. She's also in the minority group of the majority alliance, but that's okay for now. And it's not a terrible place to be. She's certainly improved her position overall. Her short-term safety has gone up because she was a top target for a lot of people, and now she is not a top target for a lot of people. She's also proven that she can win comps. She supposedly did pretty well here in the veto competition, and so that's a good thing. That said, she's definitely still not in the best spot, as I said, in the leftovers. She's in the minority group, and within that group, Taylor and Michael, I think, would both beat her in the end. That she still has a long way to go before she wins the respect needed to win this game. And I think that's a huge component. She's also, and I have to take this into account, the twist. If things go wrong, if the other side wins HOH, if they take a shot at the people that they think voted Amira out and they guess correctly, Brittany and Michael, Monty and Joseph are the people that are by far the most in danger. If if something goes wrong for leftovers, they are basically the only people that can leave, which in my eyes boosts the scores of the people that can't leave, and definitely diminishes the scores of the people that can leave. And Michael and Brittany are two of those people. Brittany more so because the leftovers would still theoretically be able to, I believe, control that vote. Or maybe it would be a tie, actually. It would be a close vote either way. But I believe the leftovers would push to keep Michael. And given how some of the women feel about Brittany, I think Michael would have a decent chance to stay over Brittany in a spot where they both are nominated. So I'm concerned about Brittany on that level. But I do think she's done a good job this week. She's played her part well. She's made some good decisions. I would be willing to go up to a 6 on her, but I am a little concerned because of her history. And I was definitely questioning the decision to, like, you know, I thought she was acting well yesterday until she started crying about people pushing her out of conversations. And then that just got them spiraling about Brittany again. And then they started speculating that she was the rat that was talking to Turner. And I think this is a huge and important step for Brittany. I need to see a little bit more from her before I move beyond the 5. So I'm also going to go with the 5. But I'm definitely curious to see what happens here with Brittany. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I agree. She's a 5. I think because of her precarious position, but also because I just, like Aysha was saying, I just don't trust her in these situations. I don't trust her judgment not to say something to the wrong person. And even the situation where it was like, okay, like now Amira's on the block and we're all supposed to pretend like we're shocked. It was like too much from her a little. It was like a little over the top where she was just like she was adding too much to the conversation. I feel like everyone else was kind of just like sitting back, and then like someone would be like, I don't know what happened. They'd be like, yeah, I don't know. But I feel like Brittany kept being like, wait, so who did you talk to before? You didn't talk to Turner, right? Like trying to like say too much, where it was like, okay, we get you're surprised. Like we're all surprised here, but like it just felt like she was too surprised. I was just worried that like they were going to catch on to it. So yeah, she's a 5 for me. I think, you know, we'll have to see how this goes, but I do think like her track record isn't the best when it comes to revealing the right things to the right people. So, you know, we'll just see. But yeah, 5.
All right. So Brittany just made you a 19%. Pretty good profit there. You went in on Brittany. But let's talk about Daniel. The audience, not a fan of Daniel. They rated him last in the favorite ratings. But they gave him a 3 in the stock watch, just a hair above the rating they gave Amira, but both end up at a 3 from the audience. For my part, man, Daniel, last week he was at a 5 overall. I felt like he recovered well from his HOH. He had gotten in with a majority. He was in a good spot. He was playing pretty decently. But his skeletons in the closet came back to haunt him here. The way that he has been treating Taylor has turned from this makes him annoying to watch and makes him like not somebody that I'm rooting for as a person, but game wise he's okay, into no, like him being like annoying as a person is also damaging his game. And the blow up on Taylor was not good. I think that even if he does survive the coming weeks, he's going to have trouble winning the game, in my opinion. You know, I think that he would have to go on a Jackson-esque run, impressing people with comp wins and like lies and plays and manipulations in order to get this jury to vote for him to win after the Taylor situation, which immediately blossomed into, hey, let's not be bullying Taylor. And I think that's devastating for his game. In addition to that, he is in a pretty precarious position. He is a major target for a lot of the leftovers, and he's not in a position where it's going to be very easy for him to escape that target. Even if, he doesn't go home next week, Nicole is the biggest target, and that's his number one ally. And his side is just going to dwindle. And on top of that, he's in a position where the way that he's handling situations, getting mad at Nicole for not wanting to talk to him and then letting other people talk to her and then telling people that story as if it was a justified story and them being like, wow, he's so dramatic. And all of it, I'm right down as low with Daniel as I am with Amira and Alyssa. I gave him a 2. What is this guy doing? Melissa, tell me.
I don't know, honestly. I'm very surprised that this is the direction Daniel's game has gone, because he, at first I really liked him when they all first got into the house. I mean, the interviews I liked him, and then, they were in the house and I really liked him initially. And the fact that he seemed to be one of the few people who was like, I don't really want to put Taylor on the block. I'm just getting to know her. She seems to be the type that you need to take a little bit to get her out of her shell. I'm not going to do this. I was like, okay, yeah, this guy's, doing well, but I don't know. It's taken a turn, really, honestly. And then this whole thing where he's, getting mad at Nicole, and then I guess he blew up at Taylor. We haven't seen what that's all about, I guess, but that doesn't sound good. I mean, the way that it's been reenacted, I guess, or discussed is does not make him sound good. So don't love that. So yeah, I do think he's in a very precarious spot moving forward. And I think he's played this week fairly wrong. So I'm going to give him a 2.
All right, Aysha.
Oh yeah, Daniel. I mean, he gets on my last nerves on a daily basis. He is just he's very hard to watch, because you're the company you keep, right? And I feel like if he were to actually invest time in this relationship with Turner, then maybe some of the things that Turner has learned would rub off on him. But no, he continues to sit with the things that Paloma would tell him. And then him and Nicole just continue to feed off each other of just the hatred towards other people in the house. I mean, 80% of the time it's Taylor, but then sometimes it's redirected at Indy. Sometimes it's just what are you are 35. Why are you talking the content of his conversations and just the way he feels about people and the way that he vocalizes it on just not a game level at all is just it is unnecessarily deeply personal, and he's just not handling this week well. I mean, he's safe. However, he is taking things personally. His number one ally, he's on again, off again, mad at her. So it's just I don't see a scenario where either next week he's not safe and he's on the block, or even if Nicole is on the block, just I just don't see a scenario where he realizes he needs to reset and realize that the way he feels about certain people, okay, maybe that isn't justified. Maybe I shouldn't be mad about something that I heard happened in week 1 and base my entire game off of that. Hasn't he realized some people have moved forward and are taking the time to get to know Taylor? And I know people have said Daniel and Taylor are having that conversation right now, but clearly that's not going well. I see tons of tweets about how it's not an actual apology. So it's just just continuing to what are you doing? So yeah, he's a 2.
All right. A 2 for Daniel, which is going to lose you 49% of anything that you decided to invest in Daniel. How great is this stock watch where putting your money into the people you don't like actually ends up making you lose money? All right. Let's talk about Indy. I honestly don't have much to say about Indy. I gave her a 4 last week. I'm actually going to stay at the 4 this week. A lot has been changing around her, but none of it really changes her ultimate position in the game. She's not a target. She was kind of a target last week. she's less of a target this week with the leftovers taking charge. I think the leftovers plan to leave Indy for as long as possible. I still think that Michael is going to look at Indy as somebody that he can bring in to try to sneak her into the end game if possible. Her long-term prospects, though, are still really low in my eyes. I'm going to have a hard time seeing her win this game, no matter what happens. I think basically she's just going to have to become an underdog and go on a comp run, which is still kind of a long shot, but it's early enough, and I think she's honestly safe enough that I'm willing to go as high as a 4 here, just because she's not going to be targeted anytime soon, in my opinion. But maybe that's a little high, but I think I do think she's in this position, and I usually give this position at around a 4. And I don't think she's done anything overly positive or negative this week to really influence things in that direction either. So that's how I feel about Indy. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Agreed. And I think I don't really see her winning this game. I mean, I don't think she's a terrible player or anything like that, but I do think that nobody really sees her as a very strong ally at this point, and that's not a good sign. I mean, we're already a few weeks in, and if she doesn't have anyone, I mean, that's not good. I think, especially the conversations about with the girls. I mean, obviously the leftovers don't see her as an ally, but the girls, especially, who I thought she was pretty tight with, seem to think she could be an easy out. So, if someone from their side has to go, so that's not a good sign. And at the same time, though, she's not really doing that much of anything wrong. But gosh, I just don't really see her winning at this point. I see her being an easy person to get out. Yeah, I'm going to give her a 3.
All right. Aysha.
Yeah, I can see Indy being one of those people that, why not keep her around? That's just one more person that we don't really have to compete with in the competitions. And we really don't have to we really don't have to be concerned about her gaming too hard, because she's just living her life in that house. So I think she has jury locked in. I couldn't see her leaving before jury. And then I could see her being one of the last ones. If the leftovers are still in power at that point, I could see her being one of the last ones they decide to vote out, because she's just not a huge competitor. So I'm going to also go with the 4.
All right. The audience gave Indy a 3. They agreed with Melissa on this one. But overall, she's going to stay at that 4, which means she's going to lose you 7% of your investment if you went in on Indy.
Stock market's not looking pretty good so far.
Lots of losses, just one gain here in Brittany. But let's talk
not
about
even that much.
Let's see if Jasmine can turn things around. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Jasmine?
Well, she can't turn things around. So I guess pro and con, she's got an injury, but she's losing one of her biggest allies in the house, which is not good for her. And I could absolutely see people wanting to go for her next. I mean, I don't think that they will, but it's a possibility. I do think Nicole and Daniel are larger targets than her, but maybe once one of them gets out, then she could go. I also don't see her doing all that great, especially because now that alliance was kind of just smashed to pieces with the whole, Daniel knew about this beforehand, and then he told Jasmine, and then Jasmine asked, told everyone about it. So not great. I think, I will say though, I think because she has this injury, there's a possibility that she stays around longer, just because they're she'll be an easy out. She's injured. She won't be able to win. We can absolutely just get her out. So yeah, I think I'm going to give her, a 3.
A 3 from Melissa. Aysha, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm back and forth between a 2 and 3 for Jasmine, because I do feel that she is so unaware of what's going on right now, and which is the case for a lot of them on that side, the girls, the old school alliance. But it's just, she cannot fathom that anything else could be happening. It's just anytime someone's like, oh no, maybe Brittany. No, Brittany doesn't know. Oh, maybe Michael. No, absolutely not. Like she's knocking things off and not even considering all the possibilities. At least everyone else is blaming everyone under the sun because they think, oh, it's like maybe it's possible that Turner only told, Kyle. And, they're thinking of maybe that's a scenario. But she is just so hard set on the fact that she is running this house that, oh, nothing else can be on the table. So I just don't see a situation where like, okay, Amira leaves and then she's confused about what happened and then deciding to reset and try to reevaluate her game from there. I just feel like it's only a matter of time. It's whatever the rest of the house wants to do with, whether she gets evicted soon or in a few weeks. I think it's completely up to the rest of the house. I think she has no ownership on her own game, and it's not just because of the ankle. I think it's because of Jasmine. So I think she has zero chance of winning this game. I'm going to go for the simple fact that the leftovers have mentioned her being a potential, in addition to Daniel and Nicole, of getting out soon. I'm going to go ahead and do a 2.
A 2 from Aysha. The audience gave Jasmine a 3, agreeing with Melissa. I guess I'm the highest on Jasmine here. I really don't think it should be underestimated how advantageous it is to have such a dramatic and visible injury. The leftovers have discussed Jasmine as a target, specifically Kyle, but every time he brings it up, everybody says, she's not a threat. She's not going to win anything. And he's like, all right. She can't play. She can't. Okay, yeah. And then he'll bring it up again to a new person and they'll be like, come on, it's Jasmine. And the reason he's doing that is because he wants to, like, obviously Kyle's in a tricky spot where like he doesn't want to go up on the block next to Daniel if possible. He doesn't want Alyssa to go yet, but he's pretending like he's willing to let Alyssa go. But obviously if Alyssa goes up next to Indy, Alyssa would go, which only leaves Nicole and Taylor. And there's a little bit of pushback on that. And so he'd love to create another option, which is Jasmine and Turner. But every time he brings up Jasmine, it just gets shot down over and over. For as long as she continues to milk this injury, I have a hard time seeing anybody vote her out over anybody else almost ever. And that is a distinct advantage. And also, I don't forget that she is a good liar. And even though people have like seen through her and they know that she's lying sometimes, I do think that if she loses Amira, if she loses Nicole, and maybe even loses Alyssa, who knows, or Daniel or whatever, she's like one of the few people on that side. I think she might be able to weasel her way back in somewhere. So I don't think she should be counted completely out yet. That being said, obviously, bad week for her. She's losing allies. It's not good. But she's set up well enough that she shouldn't be going home anytime soon. I'm also going to give her a 4 here for Jasmine. So those are my Jasmine thoughts. And Jasmine is still going to lose you because she still lands at a 3. She's going to lose you 36% of your investment. All right, let's move on to Joseph. Let's talk about Joseph. Now, last week, Joseph got a 4, but remember, this was 24-year-old Joseph, and this week we have 25-year-old Joseph. So, Aysha, how do you feel about Joseph, 25?
I don't think we have enough time on this podcast for me to just explain how I feel about 25-year-old Joseph. It's giving, 25. It's giving just a coach, a cheerleader, a world changer, love of my life. I just loved what I've seen with Joseph this weekend in this house. He is all over the place. He is making sure he talks to everyone. He's taking one for the team when the entire alliance was upstairs filling Taylor in. Like, they spent time filling Taylor in. He's taking one for the team, talking about nothing with Jasmine, right? And then comes up there, in just such a concise way, reiterates what they've already told her. He has no idea that they've already said these things. He reiterates it to her. He is just like, he pumped me up. I was like, am I a part of the leftovers? Like, I feel as if I am in that house and Joseph is rooting me on. I love how he's taking the time to truly get to know Taylor now, because it's like, wait a second, I don't know who I haven't been able to get the chance. And just the way that he is not afraid to stand up to Amira, who is constantly like trying to figure out who he's talking to. He's like, look, I'm just going to talk to who I want. Just the man that Joseph has become on his 25th birthday has just been such a sight to see. And I really appreciate watching it. So that being said, I think he is a very important piece to this alliance. There have been multiple times that Kyle and Monty they want Joseph in on the conversation they're having, because they're like, okay, we need to make sure Joseph is here. You know, they're not saying that about Michael. They're not saying, let's make sure Michael is here so we can get in on this. And that's probably partly due to the pound. But I do think that Joseph has a lot of influence in this alliance. And if this alliance is going to be running the house right now, Joseph has a lot of influence. His acting skills, I mean, he's giving Oscar-worthy performances. I cannot say enough about him, clearly. Yes, I do stand Joseph, chat. So I'm going to go ahead. We have only seen this for a few days, so I'm not going to jump the gun and go too high, but I'm going to go ahead and give him an 8.
An 8 from Aysha for Joseph. An 8. He's 25 and he gets an 8. And I wonder if there's any connection from with those numbers. Maybe that guy from the rehearsal can tell us. So the audience gave Joseph a 7. 7 from the audience, which I am more in line with here. The audience with the 7 for Joseph here, because here's the thing. In terms of like my 3 bits of criteria, right? Long-term prospects for Joseph, I'm still not super high on. His position in the Leftovers Alliance is not the best, right? Like Kyle and Monty are kind of closer to each other than they are with Joseph. Kyle has the connection to Michael. And, Joseph is building relationships with Brittany and Taylor, but Brittany and Taylor are getting closer to themselves and they're building more with Michael. Joseph is kind of a little bit with Turner, like the one that's a little bit left out of the structure. And he's somebody that I'd be concerned about if we ever got down to just the Leftovers. And in addition to that, I also feel like he is one of the first targets for the other side. So his long-term prospects, obviously they have improved. I'm going from a 4 to a 7. But in terms of where I see him within the Leftovers, he's not the highest long-term. Short-term prospects, I actually feel like he is the most likely person to leave next week of the Leftovers. I do think that Monty and Joseph are the most likely pair to be put up on the block. And I think that, as I said, because he's kind of on the bottom of the Leftovers, I do think that there'd be a push to keep Monty within the Leftovers over Joseph at this time, especially from Kyle, who definitely feels a lot closer to Monty than Joseph. So I'm worried for his safety. Short term, his long term prospects are not quite as high as some others. That said, I think his biggest thing for me this week is that he has done a great job this week. Like performance this week has been excellent, and that's why I'd maybe give him like a 6 in terms of like positioning long term and short term. But I really think he did a great job this week of helping build this alliance, pumping people up. He really was kind of like the Enzo, and maybe that's not a favorable comparison, given All Stars Enzo, but he really was kind of like the Enzo of the group. He's the heart of this group. He's really helping bind them together in a way that I think is going to be very beneficial to the group as a whole, if not him specifically. And I think that he definitely displayed a level of game savvy that was much higher than we saw. I mean, obviously, we're making the jokes about Joseph 25 because he was, and we saw this, and I mentioned it. Like, I felt like there was promise there with Joseph, but he was so far behind in terms of information. But now that he's caught up, he's with a group that's actually working with him. I really feel like he's in here with a good shot to win. And so for me, definitely up there at a 7 for Joseph. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that you said the Enzo thing, because actually Maggie texted me this morning before I even woke up telling me like, hey, I thought of something about this formation of the alliance, and basically said that that each like successful alliance lately has had, some sort of hype person who kind of like keeps the people together and keeps them excited and keeps the momentum going. And she mentioned, Enzo doing that, and then Beast Mode Cowboy, and then Casey also doing that as well. And basically just like that, he's not only like building up that momentum with the group, but also like on an individual level, he's been like talking to each person and kind of just hyping them up. And especially you see that with Taylor. So, and he even did that with Brittany as well. And so I do feel like he really is like helping to become that glue to keep everybody together and to keep the group strong. So I do love what I'm seeing from him. And the fact that he even formed this whole thing in the first place is just very exciting. I'm interested in where this goes. I don't know how the hierarchy of this group ends up being, because right now I feel like everyone's just really excited about this move, but maybe if one of them wins HOH, there might be like a new hierarchy that develops. So I'm interested to see what happens there. But yeah, I definitely want to bump him up from his 4 last week to a 7. So yeah, very, very excited about Joseph.
All right, well, that means that Joseph gets a 7, which means big money time. 40% return on your investment here from Joseph. You're making money. If you decided you saw Joseph at 24 and you thought he's got a birthday coming up this week, his brain is about to fully develop, and you predicted Joseph 25, then you just made some money. All right. Well, speaking of making money, let's see where we land with Kyle. How do we feel about Kyle? Well, I can tell you the audience feels very good about Kyle. The audience gave Kyle an 8 this week. An 8 for Kyle. And I have to agree. I think Kyle has done a very good job this week. Between the really, obviously, if we're going to like credit the creation of the leftovers, I think you have to credit Joseph as that like beating heart, and Kyle as kind of the planner, the guy that kind of like put it all together, and was also kind of a hype man, but like in a more sort of like specific strategic way, whereas Joseph was more of a hype man in we're gonna do this for the people kind of way, and the thing about how Kyle pulled this off is that he is still very much under the radar to the rest of the house, who all see him as the golden retriever dummy, and he is in probably the best position. If Joseph, I felt like was maybe toward the bottom of the leftovers in terms of where he stands, I think Kyle is basically at the top. Because he's got that connection to Michael. He's in with the Pound and in with Monty. And he also still has those connections outside, including the one with Alyssa, who shouldn't really be going anytime soon. And just the way that he maneuvered this week was very, very impressive. I think that he has a lot of longevity in this game. I feel very good about Kyle's performance. And then on top of it all, right? So long-term prospects, great. Performance this week, great. On top of all of that, his short-term safety is way up there because of this twist. He should be lock safe based on the fact that he can only be on the block against Daniel. And given that Amira should be leaving this week, the numbers should always be in place to keep him over Daniel, which means he should basically be guaranteed jury. That's pretty good. That's a really nice spot to be, and that's going to boost him up a bit in my eyes, in addition to the other things. So I'm going to go up to a 9 for Kyle this week. Very top scores across the board here. I do have some minor concerns, one of which is Michael and Brittany clocked how good he is. They were like, did you see how good Kyle was in that meeting? Like, just something to keep in the backs of our minds, moving forward. I still, again, not going to be something that matters in any way anytime soon, but that's something to note. And then also, and I talked about this a little bit on Twitch, but he's a great leader of the revolution. I don't yet know how he's going to perform as the leader of the house, so to speak. And once he's in power, can he hold it? If he gets exposed, how does he handle that? There's still a lot of game to play here for Kyle, so I would not necessarily expect this rating to stick. We will have to wait and see how that goes. But those are my thoughts on Kyle. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
I've been loving Kyle this week. I am so happy. Like, I just feel, like he was hyping me up. When they were in the meeting too, and they were like bringing people in one by one, and it was kind of like, a lot of people didn't really want to say anything yet because they were kind of scared, which makes sense because it's like this is the first time these people are all coming together to work together, and people were kind of hesitant to throw anything out there, and a lot of people would just be like, especially Monty would be like, well, what are your thoughts on things? Like, where do you feel like you stand? And like kind of make the person like talk first. Whereas Kyle was like, look, I'm just going to lay it all out here. Like, this is what's going on. Here's the information I know. Here's how we can use it. And I was just so impressed. I just felt like he did such a good job. And when he was excited about it, I was excited, and he got everyone else excited about it. And I was very impressed, honestly. And that's what you hope to see, and I do agree that he has all of these connections, like within that alliance and also outside of that alliance. And he's been doing really well so far. I'm a little hesitant to give him such a high score just because we don't really know how this is going to play out. Like, I feel like we're all like riding this high about like, oh yeah, this leftovers alliance, but like, if somebody wins HOH next week, that's like Jasmine or something, like who knows what's going to happen. So, I do feel really good about him. But I do kind of want to hold off and see how this goes. So at this point, I'm going to give him an 8.
All right. Aysha, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's been handling this situation with Alyssa very well. I think that he's doing enough to where she's not completely cutting him off, or she's not completely upset with him about not wanting to go forth with a showmance. And she's the source of this information. So, they wouldn't be the leftovers had he not had this information to start stirring up, like, wait a second, let's make sense of all of this. And I really do enjoy that he is all in on this alliance. We never saw this passion from him for Post Pack. Like, he was like, oh, great, an alliance. I should be an alliance, huh? Right. But this, he is passionate about. It's like he feels like he's the founder of this organization. He wants to like see it through to the success of it. And so I think he's going to be loyal. I just worry with, if things don't fall in the leftovers' favor and someone gets on at, let's say the besties are done and one of the other girls wins HOH, I could see it being a situation of, okay, I finally, Alyssa is maybe vengeful if they, don't continue to have a friendship, if he decides continues to decide not to have a showmance. I just don't want that situation to like bite him in the butt. And right now, I feel like that's the biggest thing on the table, besides, Michael and Brittany thinking he's good. So just because, I know he's going to be loyal, I'm just concerned with how he balances his relationships outside of the leftovers. So I'm going to also give him an 8.
All right. An 8 for Kyle means a 42% return on investment. Also big money here for Kyle. Just a tiny bit more big money than Joseph, but about the same, about around the same big money here for Kyle. So let's get to Michael. Let's talk about Michael and where he stands in all of this. I'll start right away again with very impressed with Michael this week. A third veto win in a row, but not a soul is talking about it. That's great. In addition to that, he is now a part of this new majority alliance while maintaining some connections on the other side, which is great. He seems unlikely to be in the firings in the target in the targeting system for the other side, except for the fact that he is paired with Brittany, and that could put him in some danger moving forward. But again, I really do feel that Monty and Joseph are the more likely targets. And in addition to that, I do think that Michael and Brittany on the block, I do think that Brittany is a little more likely to go home there. So with all of that said, short-term safety, I think, is pretty good. The twist is the only thing that's hindering him there. But I think he should be solid. If not for the twist, I think he'd be one of the safest people in the house. I think the blowback on what's going to happen this week will fall onto the bros, much more so than onto Michael. Long-term prospects, I actually think, are fantastic for Michael. I think that he's really well positioned within the leftovers because he has the connection to Kyle and Monty from the pose pack that still exists. And obviously the pound is a thing, but I don't know that the pound is going to stay a thing forever. Again, those relationships exist more primarily for Kyle with Michael. And I think that he has that which is great. And I think that Michael also has the wherewithal to know that at some point he's going to need to take a shot at the pound, even if he doesn't know that it's called the pound. And I think he knows that he can't wait until 7 to do it. And I think that he's already starting to build the forces that he will need to make it happen, aka a final 3 with Taylor and Brittany, which is already getting, the wheels are turning on that. And remember, week 1, he talked about how his end game would ideally include Brittany, Taylor, and Indy. Indy, not a target anytime soon. So I very much anticipate that Michael will strike at some point. I think he's very well positioned to do so. And so I really like his current position. The only thing that could stop me from giving him a 9 is the fact that he's paired with Brittany, and that could put him in some danger. But I really feel like between being a veto king and probably being able to survive the block anyway, I'm going to go ahead and give him the 9 anyway. So a 9 for Michael from me. I really feel good about where he is right now. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree, honestly. I think, I mean, I've been consistently impressed with Michael, and now he's once again found himself in the majority alliance, like somehow. So that's great for him. And it does seem like the other side of the house still tends to trust him. And I do feel like you're right that if there is fallout on this vote, I think they'll be way more mad at like Monty or someone like that than they would be at Michael. I don't know. I just feel like it just doesn't seem like he's going to get that much heat for it. So I do feel good about him. And I also feel like because he's not as out front in this new majority alliance as Kyle and Joseph are, for example, I think that will benefit him later when it's like, well, who started this? What's going on here? And he can always be like, I was pulled into it if he has to. So, yeah, I think that that's much better for him. And he also just doesn't come across as like threatening as some of the other guys do in terms of like physical ability, which is insane because he's like literally won so much, but whatever. But yeah, no, I am feeling really good about him. The fact that he's once again found himself in such a good spot is great. And now I'm not really hearing him being talked about. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 9 as well.
All right. And just again to remind people that I think a huge part of, for me at least, these 2 9s are, and even Joseph's 7, again, they are definitely getting a boost from their performance specifically this week. This has been an incredible week of game, and I'm very impressed with what they've done with it. It's usually pretty tricky for multiple people to get high ratings like this, because usually it's like you have to be the massive front runner. And so again, in terms of like long-term, short-term stuff, obviously they're not both poised to win the game, but they both were very impressive this week, and they also are in a very good spot to win. So for me, that's why I've got some dueling 9s here. But Aysha, what are your thoughts?
I feel good about Michael. I feel good about his position in the leftovers. I feel good about his position with the other side of the house. I feel like they're willing to say anything in front of Michael. I feel there hasn't been anything off limits when I've seen him standing there in the room. I think that they're always going to think of him as a number. Even, if there is blowback from Amira leaving, the first thought is not Michael. And so they're always going to think, oh, well, we can get Michael. Michael probably voted with us. It was Nicole or it was Jasmine. They're going to think of other people before Michael because he just listens. He sits there, he listens, and it could be a situation of too many people talking. I don't want to, chime into the conversation and add another voice. Or it could be just him taking in this information and was like, hey, the longer I sit there, maybe the more willing they are to say more and more and more. So I think he's clearly shown he can win competitions. And, if he finds himself on the block in the next couple of weeks, I believe Brittany is going. I think, even though he has won 3 vetoes, I still think that they're going to find a reason to go ahead and get Brittany out because the leftovers will want to keep Michael because he can win. So I think he is very deserving of a 9. So I'm going to give him a 9.
All right. Well, the audience gave Michael an 8. It was, though, the highest rating of the week here, just by a hair, just a little bit over the rating that they gave Kyle. Both 8s overall. Slight spoilers, but Joseph was the 3rd highest rating of the week there at a 7. So let's move on. Oh, hold on. What did Michael do here? He got a 9. 46% return on Michael. In the 40s, these bros here. Joseph with 40%, Kyle with 42, and Michael with 46. There you go. All right, let's move on to Monty. Melissa, how do you feel about Monty?
I certainly feel better about Monty this week than I did last week. I felt like last week, first of all, he was the odd man out from that whole vote. And also the fact that he just kept pushing, like, why are we getting rid of Pooch? Why are we getting rid of Pooch? When it was like, just, rubbing his alliance the wrong way. And you could tell they were kind of over him by the end. However, now he's found himself in a new majority alliance. So that's really good for him. Although if it ends up coming out, after this vote that he didn't vote with Pose Pack or whatever, like Pose Pack doesn't exist anymore. And he, betrayed Amira and those guys, like that's not going to be good for him. So I do think he's in a little bit of a precarious spot. It was also interesting because like at moments during the conversation, like when the guys were just alone, after having these big meetings with this new alliance, he'd be like, yeah, but this is like all about the pound, right? And like he clearly was just like hoping that the pound was like the main thing and then this other thing is like secondary, and I don't know if that's the case. I mean, maybe it is, but it does seem like he's kind of doing the bro thing again, which I don't love, and it kind of makes me nervous about his like long-term prospects. I mean, it could be nothing or it could be something. So I'm obviously feeling better about him, but I don't feel as good about him as I do some of the other members of the leftovers. So I am going to bump him up to a 6.
All right, a 6 from Melissa. Aysha, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I feel in terms of the leftovers, I feel similarly about Monty as I do Brittany. I still don't fully trust that he is all in. I do believe that he has loyalty to the guys, but I just don't know if he has the passion behind the 7 as the others do. For one, he's still doubting Taylor. For 2, like Melissa said, he's thinking about the pound as like the foundation. And then even in the introduction to Taylor to the leftovers, he was treating it like a job interview. It was like, Monty, what are you doing? Why are you asking questions like this? Why are you trying to get her to say just deliver it how Kyle was doing it? He was just explaining, okay, we found this out. He did this. Monty was, the approach was just odd. And so what concerns me is that, give Monty some, like, let's see if we have Monty as a HOH and he's left his own devices to make some decisions. I just don't know. Is he going to think, well, we can get rid of, one person to go ahead and bring this person into the leftovers? Because now they're the outcast. They don't have anybody. So maybe we can bring them into the leftovers. Just his gameplay over the first few weeks kind of make me hesitant that, he can be solid. I will say I was impressed with his post-veto performance. He was a great actor. I did not expect that from him, but people thought he was crying and he wasn't crying. I mean, and that wasn't even on him. But I just want to see more from him, of just more loyalty, that he's really going to ride this out and he is loyal to the 7. And not just the 4. And so I'm a little higher on him than Brittany, because I do feel like, he is more so in the decision-making piece of the leftovers. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a 6 as well.
All right, a 6 from Aysha. The audience is going to agree with the both of you. The audience also gave Monty a 6. And I have to say, I'm a little torn on Monty. I'm tempted to go with a 7, just because I feel like his position is slightly better than Joseph's, in terms of, within the leftovers, and then even in terms of like being a potential target for the other side. Again, I feel like he probably, in my eyes at least, has a leg up on staying over Joseph in that spot. That said, Joseph, got a big boost for how crucial he was to the formation of the leftovers. And, Monty, I feel, was not nearly as crucial and didn't do as much work to make it happen. So it would feel a little wrong to give Monty the 7 here, especially if I'm wrong and Monty would be the primary target over Joseph and more likely to go home over Joseph next week. So I think that I am going to go with the 6 here for Monty. It's definitely close to a 7 for me, which is actually pretty in line with the audience. The audience nearly went with the 7 for Monty. But yeah, I don't feel confident enough that his position is that much better than Joseph's to have it override the amount of work that Joseph put in this week and how impressive it was versus what Monty has done this week so far. Although I do think that Monty is somebody to watch out for here. And he's definitely back in the game with a good shot to win this thing. So, we will see. That's going to be a 6 for Monty, which is a 25% boost to any Monty investors. All right, let's talk about Nicole. How do we feel about Nicole? Aysha, what are your thoughts on Nicole?
Well, I definitely feel complete opposite than how I used to feel about Nicole, because all of my stock is in Nicole. So let's just say that. Um,
Oh boy.
Nicole, yeah. Nicole, she has been, but she's the number one person spiraling in this house. How are you? You thought you were going on the block. Now you're not on the block, but yet you have the biggest issue about what is transpiring. How are you telling the person who ended up on the block, Amira, that you were the one who was screwed over the most this week? How is that happening? And just I mean, the karma of falling off the hammock after just blowing up, yelling in the house, yelling about alliances when there are people around. Y'all don't live in a 5-acre mansion. I mean, this is a confined house. Anyone could have heard that. And you're blaming Alyssa for exposing the alliance when you're yelling at the top of your lungs about an alliance. Like, what do you think, what is going on? I feel the same confusion as with Daniel. It makes sense that they're each other's partners, because really, where's the logic? Where are y'all not thinking about how, okay, something has happened. Okay, now I have to move forward. It's all about just reacting in the moment. They're just like, oh my gosh, who knew? All this concern about, oh, if Taylor goes up, she's gonna explode. Who knew that Nicole not going up, she was gonna explode? I mean, it's just I just can't see her actually being in danger, actually being on the block and handling that well. And the fact that the leftovers know that they need to get her out soon is wonderful. So she's just crashing and burning, and she thinks the back bedroom is her bedroom. People need to knock to go in. Girl, you are not HOH. Many people share that room. What are you doing? Just the delusion of grandeur that this woman has in this house is just I can't. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw her a 2.
A 2 from Aysha. Well, the audience is at a 3 for Nicole. The audience not dipping below a 3 here for the night. And man, it's just, she's in just as bad a spot as so many of these other people. It's pretty bad. Now, I am definitely considering a 3 for Nicole, primarily because if I'm comparing her to the other 2s here, Amira, who is, going home, Daniel, who really screwed up, Alyssa, who really screwed up, Nicole also screwed up, and definitely deserves to have a low rating here. But maybe not quite as bad as like a Daniel or an Alyssa. However, I'm looking at the layout of the house here, and if Amira leaves, which it's looking like she will, especially if Amira leaves and Nicole tried to keep Amira and failed, and then maybe also gets blamed for Amira leaving, even if she doesn't get blamed for Amira leaving, she doesn't really have anybody left. Jasmine, Indy, Alyssa, like none of them are really that close to her. And that's why it might be easy for them to blame things on her. And it's really, it's a bad position to be in. And I do feel like I think she has to be down there. I mean, her position in the game has just plummeted. The unnecessary rant on Alyssa is not going to help her. And the thing for me that really seals the deal is the completely unnecessary wavering back and forth between Terrence and Amira about who she wants to keep. There's no reason for her to be doing that. She should be she either telling them both like, hey, you're good, or just flat out deciding what she wants to do and going from there. Telling them, oh, it's such a hard no. It's just so bad. I'm gonna give her the 2, Melissa.
Yeah, she's a 2 for me as well. She's just, I mean, everything about this week was played poorly. The emotional outbursts, if I'm in the house, I would be thinking she's a liability. I don't want to work with her. And she's also pissing off her own allies. I mean, the whole Indy thing, the whole Alyssa thing, the whole Daniel thing. I mean, it's like we could literally talk about all these different people and why Nicole has pissed them off this week or like, you know, had some issue with them. And then also like, yeah, like you said, whoever stays is going to be like, okay, so she was wavering on who to keep and then decided on me. Like it wasn't like an easy decision for her. That's not great for me. So yeah, I don't see this being good for her moving forward. I mean, even someone like Monty or something already has seen what it's like to work with her, you know, when she was like doing the whole pooch thing where it was like, it's either him or you. And, you know, obviously at the time we were like, it was the first time she had really, well, first time that I can remember that she was really like, you know, saying something like that and was kind of handling it in that way. And I did kind of appreciate that because I was like, okay, like she feels very strongly about this. She's trying to like hammer it into Monty that like this is happening and he needs to get on board because like he really did need to like get on board at that point. But I feel like she's like that with everything. Like even things that don't need to be a big deal, even things that don't need to be like a major emotional decision. It's like you don't need to be so like intense every conversation you have. And even when she was having that conversation with Daniel and he kept saying like, sit down, like don't like you don't need to stand up or whatever. And you know, I just feel like it doesn't bode well for moving forward. So yeah, she's a 2 for me.
All right. That means that you lost 57% of your investment if you decided to go in on Nicole, dropping from a 6
Hypothetically.
to a 2. Aysha, I'm sorry.
No. Oh, man.
All right. Let's talk about Taylor. Let's see here. I think the audience is going to start in here on Taylor. The audience gave Taylor a 6. A 6 for Taylor this week. How do I feel about Taylor? I feel great about Taylor. I think this was a fantastic week for Taylor. She's not going home. She's now in a majority alliance. And within that majority alliance, she's not like in the center of it. In fact, I would say probably toward the bottom of it for now. But unlike Joseph, she's in a great spot strategically short term, where if she does touch the block, it's next to Nicole, and she should be lock safe. And that's really, really good. It means that not only does she have a newfound status in the house as part of a majority, as in a position where she's able to develop relationships, and she has been getting to work and developing those relationships. She also has time to lock them in and to figure out where she wants to move in this house. I think it's really good. I'm really impressed by how she has, maneuvered since this happened. Again, she has not been wasting time. She has been talking to Michael, proposing a final 3 with him and Brittany, talking to Brittany, developing that relationship, talking to Turner, developing that relationship. She's even talking to Daniel and Nicole and some of the other people and letting them apologize and giving them a lot of grace and trying to make sure that those bridges are not fully burned. Nobody should be coming for Taylor anytime soon. And even if they do, she can't really leave because she's next to Nicole. I think she's in a great spot. It's obviously still very fresh. It's still very new. I'm not entirely sure where she goes from here or what kind of shot she has. We talked about this a little bit with Kevin earlier today. But obviously going from, completely on the outs to now being a contender to win kind of gives her a story that might put a target on her back. That's like, wow, if she made it this far, she's obviously going to win the game if she makes it to the end. But I really, really like how she's performed this week. I like her positioning. Long term is my only concern with her, but for now, I think I'm very, very impressed, and I'm going to go with a 7 here for Taylor. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this has been a really good week for her. She's not on the block, which is great for her. And I definitely, I mean, it's just so much better than last week. She's in the majority alliance. She has she's building actual relationships with people, like real relationships, that aren't just, people like pretending to be nice to her and then, talking bad about her behind her back. So that's been really, really good to see. And obviously I feel like she does really great in these types of conversations. So I'm very happy about that. I think my main concern is, you know, there has been some talk, particularly from Monty's perspective, of like, do we really think she's in this? Like, do we really think that Taylor's part of this? And like, I don't love to hear that right off the bat, especially because they literally like just formed this alliance. So I do think that's kind of a weak spot for her. And I also think that like, I am a little worried for her I guess it really, a lot of these depend to me on like how they end up dividing the votes in the end of the week. Like if they end up, you know, just being like, whatever, here's our alliance, like we're getting rid of you, and not trying to split the vote and like kind of conceal it, that would probably be good for Taylor, because it kind of would like put her at the bottom of the pack in terms of like who to target. But if they do try and do this whole like, oh, we don't know who it was, who flipped, what happened type of plan, then I'm a little worried for Taylor, because it could be very easy for them to kind of say like, well, let's just put Taylor on the block. And, you know, I don't think the alliance would go against her. I think they would still have the votes to keep her, but it does kind of put her in the precarious spot to be on the block again. So I don't love that. I am looking forward to seeing how this can grow. And so right now, just because she is already being questioned by the alliance, I'm going to give her a 6.
All right, Aysha, what do you think?
Yeah, so I feel really good about Taylor. I am so happy that she's not on the block. I'm happy that people are finally giving her the time of day. She's getting a chance. She's given the chance that everyone got when they walked into the house, where people just, oh, well, let me get to know you first and then determine how I feel about you at that point. Now people are actually taking the time to get to know her. I'm glad she is a part of the leftovers, and she was very open and receptive to it. And it hasn't been like oh, I'm in this alliance now, but let me still see what else is on the table. Which is, I'm just glad now she's loyal and she has had zero questions about it. I've enjoyed the conversations that she's been having with Brittany and Michael you could just see how much more she's opening up. And I think she could, once she kind of gets out of this mode of having to play on defense, that we could really see, some real moves being made from her. I could see a situation where she decides to do something bold as HOH. I mean, as long as she has like the leftovers backing. So I'm way more optimistic about Taylor than I have been the past couple of weeks. The poise she has and just the ability to communicate with these people after finding out a lot of the stuff that's been being said, after the Nicole and Daniel conversation, still giving them the time of day to speak. I mean, to speak to her and try to say their piece. I mean, that's above what a lot of people would do, even in that house. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing for Taylor. And I really hope that now she can get out of defense. She can start thinking like, okay, like she is thinking how I want to see myself in final 3. Who do I want to see myself with, and how can I get there? So I'm going to agree with Taran and give her a 7.
There you go. 7 crew. Taylor makes a 7, which means a 40% return on investment. Look, you're either going way up or way down this week. There you go. Let's talk about Terrence. How do we feel about Terrence? I can tell you that I feel fine about Terrence. He's probably not going home this week. He's probably sticking around for a while. But, it's still not great. He very nearly just full on conceded the second he got nominated. Luckily, he did go back on that. But man, there's just not much in the way of longevity for Terrence. I'm gonna need to see basically, Indy in this spot is currently at a 4. Jasmine's at a 4. And the reason I have them at 4s is because Jasmine has proven she can win a comp even with her ankle the way that it is. And she is an active player in the game. Indy, I think, is probably capable of winning some comps at some point. And has been somewhat active in the game. Terrence, I'm gonna need to see the path where Terrence wins comps, because I can see Indy really being dragged all the way to the end, and then winning out as a comp. But Terrence is somebody that you're going to take out before the end. You're not going to bring him all the way to the end because the perception is that he's too likable, I think. So he's not in that prime pawn position, which I love to give fours to. So for me, I'm going to stick with my 3 here for Terrence, not to mention, again, the fact that he is on the block. And also, who knows what happens with this twist with him being a solo player moving forward. I believe that they've been told that it is not safety. So that could potentially be also bad. So it's going to be a 3 from me for Terrence. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, same. Terrence is a 3 for me. I mean, there's a possibility he goes home this week. I don't think he will, but there's always the chance he's on the block. And yeah, I'm just not super impressed. I feel like I'm not seeing like any sort of like alliance building with him. And especially now that he's out of the majority alliance, like that's just not good for his game moving forward. I could see them kind of keeping him around just because they're bigger fish to fry, but I don't really necessarily see him winning. And the fact that he kind of just like gave up this week is not great. So yeah, he's a 3.
All right, Aysha.
Yeah, I mean, Terrence is one of those people in the house, similar to Indy, where if I see them on the feeds, even if they're whispering, I'm not interested. So it's just like I just don't feel like they're usually, I don't know. Anyway, Terrence has, now that he's on the block and now he's past, this trying to say, oh, Amira, you can stay. He has been trying to campaign. He has been talking to people today, and I will give him that. I will say, like,
such a low bar.
I know. Exactly. It's like the fact that, we have to be surprised that someone is campaigning. It's just, I just don't expect much from Terrence. The writing is on the wall. He will be leaving at some point. I just don't see a situation where he's even brought to final 6 or 5. But right now, his short-term prospects are great, because why would you get him out over Daniel or over Nicole, or even over, I could see a situation where they would want Jasmine out over him, even with her injury. So I don't know. Terrence, he's just not giving what I thought the likable older house guests would give. So I'm going to agree with a 3.
All right. Well, the audience also gave Terrence a 3. So it's going to be straight 3s there for Terrence, who is going to lose you 16%. But hey, it's better than a lot of other ones. Bet Aysha wishes she was in on Terrence. All right, let's finally talk about Turner. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Turner?
With Turner, I do want to say that, like, I do feel kind of bad, and I tweeted about this. Like, I do feel like maybe we like prematurely judged Turner based on a tweet, and it does feel very similar to like the whole Taylor situation of like, we hear something from somebody and we think like, Turner judging Taylor, like he says that it must have been like implanted in his brain, like people saying that enough, it makes you believe it yourself. And I feel like we had a lot of that on like Twitter of like everyone being like, this guy is a bad person. He's a bad guy. I mean, even when we initially did our draft and we didn't even know much about him at all, we'd barely seen him on the live feeds. We were like, yeah, this guy's a bad guy. He's a bad person. So like, we're not even gonna like worry about him. And I feel really bad about that now, honestly, especially hearing like some of the stuff that he said to Taylor about like, the fact that he has been bullied throughout his life. And he even talked about being bullied at home. Like, and the whole thing was like a tweet from his sister saying that he was bullying her. Like, I don't know what the truth is. Like, I really don't. And I don't want to sit there and pretend like I do. But the idea that we all just like unilaterally, like, we're like, oh, well, this guy's a bad guy. It makes me feel bad, So I really was impressed with Turner this week. Obviously, he started the week off and he was saying he was going to target Taylor. And I was like, oh, God, not this again. And then he totally turned it around. I mean, obviously, like without Joseph and Kyle, you know, kind of coming to him and presenting this to him, you probably wouldn't have done that. But the fact that he was open to it, I think is like, it speaks volumes, because the easy move would have obviously been to just like stick with the plan. Like, we don't want to upset the house. Like, I'm just going to go with the house. And so, yeah, I am very impressed with him. I don't really know where he goes from here, but the fact that he's had these like great conversations with almost everyone in that majority alliance, like on an individual level, like having these great conversations, and even like with Taylor, like these great conversations he's had with her, I think is really great. And also, it does seem to me like he's not necessarily being blamed for putting Amira and Terrence on the block. I feel like I'm surprised by that, honestly, because I feel like he's not getting like the heat that I expected. It's kind of like, oh, well, he just made a mistake, or he must have just like messed up. And it's like, okay, well, this was intentional. Like, and I think he's handling it well too. So yeah, I honestly, I've been impressed with him. That's a long-winded way, I guess, to say that I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to give him a 7, because I thought that this was such a great HOH week. He put himself in such a good spot moving forward, and he's getting out a super big target. So yeah, I feel good.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Melissa, because I think that I do think that obviously there's definitely there was a bit of a, now that not to say that he wasn't a part of the Taylor things,
right.
And that there shouldn't have been judgment there, because I think there was, and I think primarily from our end, it was a lot of like, look, we'll see what he does in the house, because if he is this kind of person, it will probably become evident very quickly. But I do think it's important to point it out that, like, having seen him in the house, we did see him kind of fall into this. But I do really, I personally really did also appreciate what he was saying to the cameras. The big thing for me, and I think for a lot of people, is that he owned up to his role in what was happening, and said, you know what, like, I totally was in that, and now I like Taylor and Brittany, which is funny, because that's like the exact position that like we're talking about right here, like. Didn't really like Turner, but now that he's being pretty chill, I'm kind of like, all right, you're kind of fire. You're kind of fire. I'm into it. So it's definitely been interesting to see Turner here, and again, I thank you again to Melissa, because I think it also it takes a lot to say, hey, look, we were wrong. All right, we were wrong about this. Speaking of being wrong, though, I need to go back and change my Brittany and Michael ratings to some 10s.
Oh, no.
I've been hearing some rumors that they've been. I feel like they've been talking and saying some really smart things while we've been podcasting, and it's just really impressing me. And
if they don't mention me, I don't care. I'm gonna put their ratings
feel
down.
like they should be 10s. I'm starting to like just here we go. Let's just applaud them. I just feel like they're very smart. I'm kind of feeling it.
I'd like to change my rating and rate them down, because I haven't heard my name being mentioned. So sorry, they just lose points with me.
Apparently Brittany listened to, or watched your interview with Kevin before going in the house to prepare herself.
All right. Well, look, we're 1 for 2 then.
There we go.
All right. Anyway, Aysha, what are your thoughts on Turner?
Yeah, I feel good about Turner. He has made a complete 180. He needed Pooch to leave, and he needed the HOH so he could get some time alone to reflect. And I'm so glad that he came to this realization, because especially when people are, you really get to see who people really are when they're alone. I know there's a version of talking to the cameras of just like, oh, I'm, I basically trying to appeal to the live feeders. But the way that he's been talking to the cameras, like, you may or may not be watching, but I'm just getting this out. It's like a little a diary for him. And that's how I know he's being genuine in this moment. And the fact that he owned up to his behavior and his thoughts and how he was thinking about Taylor and Brittany, it's just like it takes a pretty big person to own up to that by yourself. You don't know if anybody is watching. He knows production's watching, but he doesn't know if that would make the show or if the feeds are on him specifically in that moment. And that's I've just been really impressed with Turner, and I'm so glad that he has turned this around. And I mean, yes, we had the the information beforehand, like you mentioned, Melissa. But then even in the house, I was making judgments on Turner because of just of just how I felt about Pooch and just pairing them together. And once you take Pooch out of the equation, I'm like, Turner actually he's okay. Like he's not Pooch. So I have enjoyed his HOH. I'm so glad he did something with it. I really think that he could have taken the easy way out, just continued and made this move because hey, I don't want any blood on my hands. But he decided to make a move, set himself up for the next few weeks at least. And I think this could be really good for him, all because of this HOH. So I am going to also give him a 7.
All right. Well, the audience agrees with both of you. The audience also gave Turner a 7, and I agree as well. I'm in on the 7 here. I really a couple of things with Turner. Not only with the things we've talked about, admitting fault and all of that, but also he's doing what literally I talked about just like a week or two ago, where I said, like, people are saying like, oh, you need to go with the crowd. You can't stand out. You can't stand up for somebody because then you'll be targeted. And I said, no, I really feel like in these situations, if you stand up and speak up for somebody, that is not only the right thing to do on a personal level, I also think it can be the right thing to do on a game level. And I think it can win you respect. And I think we are seeing exactly that in the house right now. He has been unafraid to stand in front of a group of people and say, I think this woman is being bullied and I'm not going to stand for it. And they are all cowering in the face of his words. Not me though. Not right. Turner, please validate that it's not me. Because he is the one with the respect here. He is the one standing up. And I'm really impressed by that. And I think he has completely turned his game around, being willing to be that person. In addition to the fact that, of course, he is now in a majority alliance and in the pound, as well as developing a closer relationship with Taylor, with Brittany. I think that similar to Taylor, his game it's a big turnaround, and it's a little bit early to know exactly where it's going to go from here. But if he continues to develop relationships with Brittany and Taylor, I do feel like there's a chance that he can really be in a good position within this leftovers alliance, because he shouldn't be an immediate target. His threat level is not very high. His short-term prospects are very good because he's paired up with Jasmine, who should go home over him with the leftovers support. Really shouldn't go up on the block at all in any scenario anyway. And that's all great. And again, long-term prospects, he went from being the kid that doesn't shower, who is Pooch's number 2, to the kid who's been through a lot in his life and took a stand and stood up for Taylor. And that's the kind of person who can win a jury vote in the end. And that's huge. That's so huge. Can't be understated how huge it is. Big turnaround for Turner. And I feel much better about his position moving forward. Just got to wait and see where things go from here in terms of his positioning within this alliance and all of that. So that's where we are with Turner. A 3 to a 7.
That's
for
huge.
Turner.
I wonder if that's the biggest jump we've seen in like the history of the stock market.
So many jumps.
Yeah.
We're jumping left, we're jumping up, we're jumping down. It's chutes and ladders. And Turner, I believe, is going to be the best buy of the week at a 51% return. that is the stock watch working as intended. Love to see it. There you go. Turner, big time returner.
Oh boy.
All right, let's see here. That's what we have for the stock watch this week, and it looks like we already have an updated leaderboard. What a wonder.
I totally don't remember what I did. I did something, I think. I don't remember.
I can tell you I do remember what I did because I didn't remember to do anything.
Oh, good. Okay, well. I think I remember.
I have a valid excuse. I was in LA at the time, and like I said, I gave advice about doing something immediately so that if something happens, you at least have something in. And I told everyone, I don't follow my own advice on that. And yeah, it happened to me. I completely forgot. I think I might be somewhat okay here. Obviously not going to be in the best spot having forgotten to do anything. Let's first of all, let's take a look at our first place. I think that's another glitch there. Sorry for the glitches. But in first place, McFro, top 10 BB Can 8 placer. McFro is going to have number 1 on the leaderboard because McFro went in on Michael. Did nobody go in on Turner? I thought maybe we'd have some Turner first placers.
Yeah.
I don't think, did anybody go in on Turner? Not a single soul?
Wow. That's funny.
Wow.
Can I check? Is there a way to, I don't think there's a way to check quickly if anybody in the chat, if anybody went in on Turner, tell me.
That's crazy.
Anyway,
like
McPro here, number 1.
Turner, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking all in on Turner.
No.
All in. Let's take a look here.
If they went all in on Turner, would they be number 1?
I don't know
Or
if
would
they
it
had
be,
enough.
like,
As long as they
depends on
didn't
what they
like
had.
lose everything. I guess he was only 5% better than who, Michael. So maybe not. But we will see. I think the leaderboard is taking some heavy hits right now from the audience. But here we go. 244th place for me. Did not buy any additional shares. Was just still in on Kyle and Michael, which was not terrible this week, but definitely not the best. Top 10%. We'll wait and see if that was up or down for me. Melissa, let's check on you. Melissa, you still don't remember what you did?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I'm worried I went all in on Alyssa or something. I'm honestly worried about that. I don't. Oh God. I hope I didn't.
If Melissa went all in on Alyssa and became the worst Melissa, how many Lissas do you have left?
Oh boy.
And Issa.
Oh man,
not
we're really
loading?
we're
Load
really
it.
slow here. Hold on, we got my page up here. I went up 43 places. All right, that's not bad. But
pretty good.
still here in the
Improvement, at
200s. Yeah, a little improvement. Okay, here we go. Melissa, I'm seeing you down at 1132. You had stocks in Amira.
Oof, not good.
Kyle. So it was Amira and Kyle. Mostly Kyle,
Right.
a little bit Amira.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
bad.
Well, I had thought Amira was doing good things last week, and then that all died. So yeah, not great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's check in. What's the damage here for Aysha?
There's such a thing as last place.
Does she have enough to rebuild? Is she gonna be okay? Do we need to start a GoFundMe?
Right. Oh, I can't afford to be on this podcast anymore.
After this natural disaster. Here we go. Okay. All right. All in on Nicole and down in the. Oh, look, you're in the top 100%.
Oh God.
Don't worry about it. You're good.
I'm fine.
No. Doing really well.
What is it? How many players are there? You're 2,655. Oh boy, I'm still trying to load Melissa's.
2,636 people.
Oh man, we might have to give up on the site. It's going a little slow here, but all right. Well, that's what we've got going on. Hopefully you all have not lost too much here in the stock watch. But
I mean, who would have predicted this though? I feel like it's like a lot of the time you can predict like some players, like the main alliance or whatever, are gonna at least like go up or whatever. But this one, it's like the main alliance completely switched. Now we have a different main alliance. So yeah, I wouldn't have expected it.
I mean, it really was. It was a
That
very.
wasn't me. That's you. Thank God. Huh. I was like, oh, I really struggled. And I was like, oh, no, that's Aysha, not me.
Aysha went down 2,118 places.
Oh, that's so bad.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Melissa, you went down 341 places.
Not as much.
Oh boy. Look at this. You got a BB Can 10 top 10% badge though.
Did I?
Yeah. Didn't know that.
I've never had a badge.
Look at that. It's not a leaderboard badge, but it's a profile badge. You got that going for you. Yeah.
Wow. Better than nothing, I guess. Best I've ever done. And I've been participating for a long time since the inception. So
yeah, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I don't know how it looks like there's 30 pages. There's about 3,000 players.
Okay.
Close to that. Yeah. So you're not that bad. Yeah.
There's 400 people below me.
Yeah. You're all right. Okay. All right. That's what we have. That's what we have for the Stockwatch. If you want to participate, it's not too late. You can join in realitystockwatch.com. Go check in. Just as long as you're playing, just make sure you're having fun. If you're getting to the point where you're watching the podcast and you're like, what? That rating is not fair. That's not okay. I'm gonna lose my money. Then maybe you should consult with Nicole, and you can both kind of complain about your words being used, and it'll be all right. I promise. Just make sure you're having fun. That's the goal. The goal is to have some fun here. So any final thoughts before we wrap up this podcast? What a week.
Yeah. What a great week. That's really my thought, is that this was a great, shocking, surprising week. We started it out, at least I started it out very disappointed in the HOH result and the initial discussion of noms. I was like, oh my God, not this again, just another repeat. I was like, here's another week we can forget. And I do think that if it went through with the Taylor plan, I do think the trajectory of the season would be fairly sad. I mean, because it would just be probably the girls, then maybe the guys would team up. I don't know, but it's just watching girls versus guys is not so great to me. So this is just so pleasantly surprising and so great, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
All right, Aysha, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just very happy that this season has taken a turn. I mean, even the feeds have been great while we've been on this podcast. We have stuff to go back and watch, which is amazing. Because the Tuesday, Wednesday, it's just not much happening on the feeds, but there will be things that happen at least the next couple of weeks because everyone's so confused. So I'm really impressed with the leftovers, even if they are short-lived, even if they go all the way. I'm just happy that it has happened, and I won't forget the fulfillment that I feel from them coming together.
Yes. I said this, at the start of the podcast. I'll say it again. This year in Big Brother has been very fulfilling in terms of Big Brother Canada 10 being excellent, and Big Brother US, and really coming off of a great year last year as well, where we had a great Big Brother Canada 9 season, and Big Brother 23 had its own strengths that were really exciting and interesting. So. It's been, I feel, a little vindicated, with the amount of time I spend on this show, that, man, when it hits highs, it is a high moment. And this week is a perfect example of that. So, I really hope that we all can just take a stop down for a second, just appreciate what we've got. Just appreciate what we have going on here. It may not last, but for right now, just soak it in. This is why we watch this show. This is why we talk about it. This is why we listen to podcasts about it. This is why we play dumb money games about it. This is the reason. And I'm so happy to be here and be talking with through it all with the two of you and with everyone out in the audience. So thank you all. And that's what we have. So we have for the Stock Watch this week. Rob said 3 hours 20 minutes, but look at this. Look at us, 2 hours 50.
Pretty good.
Boom.
Oh, pretty good.
So make sure you go and listen to the interview that I did with Rob and Kevin Jacobs from Big Brother Canada 10. Very interesting conversation. We talked about some interesting stuff. So make sure you check that out. If you were not a patron and did not watch it live, should be out at this point. So you can check that out. Check out the live feed update from this morning. And also, if you checked out the live feed update, I listened to the intro back because I wanted to see how it came across because I played it via soundbite. Wasn't as you couldn't hear the music as well. All right, I spent a lot of time on that trailer, and I posted on Twitter. Listen to the Twitter version. It's better. You can hear it better. I'm telling you. So check out the update from this morning, though, and check out the trailer I did from the feeds yesterday.
Okay.
And make sure you check out my Twitch channel as well, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. Was very, very proud to hit 20,000 followers yesterday on stream. So go over there, check it out. Give it a follow, and I appreciate everyone that has done so already. And of course, live feed update tomorrow. Then I will be on Twitch watching the episode live with all of you. Hopefully, a good episode. Fingers crossed. We've got some good content there. Come on. And then, of course, the recap after that, and then we'll be hitting the ground running on Thursday. Hopefully, leading into a blind side. So plenty of good stuff coming up. Aysha, where can people find you?
Y'all can find me on Twitter at Aysha like Aysha. That's AYSHA like ASIA. I am podcasting about season 15 of Married at First Sight over on the Perfect Match podcast. We just rebranded with Jason Reed. We are going to have Mari Forth with us this week, so we're gonna have a great time talking about episode 4. And I also joined Puya over on the 90 Day Fiance podcast, and we had a great time talking about that show. And we'll catch me for the rest of the season whenever I decide to come on and talk about Big Brother 24.
All right. And you can, of course, find Melissa at It's Melissa in her backyard. If you wanna do that. So thank you all again for joining us. It's been a blast, and we will see you next time.